Thanks for what you do with your podcast and all the rest. You're doing a great job. Hope everybody keeps tuning in. You get a lot of good info, a lot of insights, understandings of how to get strong, how to stay strong, how to use your strength.
You do a great job, dude. You make things better than they are in real life, I think.
If you don't follow Massenomics, y'all do it. Social media, website, everything.
Massenomics.
Yeah.
Welcome back, everyone, to the Unpaid and Underrated podcast. Oh, that's not right.
Wait a
It's
minute.
not the Unpaid and Underrated podcast. This is, of course, episode 372 of the Massenomics podcast, the lifting podcast about Newfin, recorded live from western, northeast, South Dakota, and eastern, southern, eastern, southeastern Dakota. Does that sound right, Tommy?
That sounds very
My name's
right.
Tanner.
And my name's Tommy.
Tanner. Yeah. Did I hit all? I might have added some extra directions in
No,
there just to get.
Well, it was oddly specific. I
It was
think.
just getting really, really specific. The circle is getting smaller and smaller and smaller.
It was. People are going to know where I live pretty soon. You keep that
Like
up.
people that know our directions formula, that just basically gave away your address.
You pinpointed me. It's like giving my latitude and longitude over here.
Yeah. See, you don't really need all those systems of directions and addresses and stuff. All you need is the 4 cardinal directions.
Just
and
four of those, and you just say them enough, and you get really specific.
Yeah. Oh boy, we got a hell of an episode to get through this week in episode 372. We've got Big Bryce coming on as a guest later. That's going to be fun. We've got a new podcast to talk about, even though there aren't other podcasts. We've got YouTube action. Quite honestly, we've got 1, 2, 3, like 10 topics over there.
Some
I can't
secret
even count
code
them all.
words in the list.
Yeah, there's some secret stuff there's some stuff Tommy put in there where I don't even know what it is. There's some stuff I put in there where Tommy might not know what it is. So it's going to be an episode full of surprises.
That's what people love it for, right?
I almost can't wait. But first, to leave everyone on a cliffhanger, what I would tell you is head over to the Strength Co. and listen to this.
This is the Strength Company. We've set out to build a better barbell plate on American soil. We ended up here at Wisconsin's legendary Wapaka Foundry. With over 60 years of ironworking experience, the foundry had the knowledge, technology, and processes to build our weights to our exact specifications. The Strength Company plates are slim but rugged, smooth but easy to grip, and electro-coated for durability and to look great in your gym. This is the next generation of American iron. Only available from the Strength Company.
And today's episode is also brought to you by Bearfoot Shoes. Most shoes harm your mobility by over-restricting your foot's natural movement. Bearfoot shoes are designed with minimal restrictions so your feet can move the way they're supposed to. Move with more strength and confidence in every step. Bearfoot Shoes was founded by Chris Duffin, who attributes proper foot biomechanics as foundational to his success in squatting and deadlifting over 1,000 pounds for reps. And trust me, that guy knows a thing or two about a thing or two. He helped create the company to provide a minimalist shoe that can be worn for anything from deadlifts to walking your dog. Go to www.barefoot.shoes to check out the best minimalist shoes available. And while you're there, most importantly, make sure to use code Massenomics to save 10% on your next order. That's www.barefoot.shoes. Code Massenomics will save you 10%. Thank you, Bearfoot Shoes.
Cool beans. Thanks, the Strength Co. and Bearfoot Shoes. Did you see the news then? Unpaid and Underrated has now officially been published, and
it has
there's been a couple episodes out.
Yeah, I'm about halfway through the first episode. I'm liking it so far.
Episode 0.
Yes,
pilot,
episode
then.
0. Yes, that's correct. Yeah, I'm about halfway through. I'm liking it so far. I'm excited to finish this one out and listen to episode 1, where I'm assuming they really hit their stride and just go crazy.
Yeah, they really dive into it around episode 1 somewhere.
That's when they really start getting into it.
I have listened to both. I think it's great. A great podcast. For anyone that doesn't know, it's I believe the official name is Unpaid and Underrated. Someone in the Discord crew can give there's a second line to that. But anyways, it's the Massenomics crew members. They started their own podcast. It's a podcast by crew, for crew, all that stuff. Check it out. It's been pretty fun. It's going to be a fun chance for us to hear a little bit more about some of the people that have supported us for a long time. So I think that's pretty cool.
And to get the Massenomics take secondhand. You know,
Yes.
we know how we think about things, but now we're going to get a more long form conversation about the appearance from a different perspective.
Yeah, just as long as they never say anything bad about us.
Oh, I can't
will
imagine why
continue
they
to
ever
like it.
would. I mean, that was
That's
just
true. Like,
crazy talk.
Not even anything bad, but just not even anything critical.
Yeah. Well,
Well,
no.
at
What,
all.
what could they ever be critical of? Nothing to be critical of.
So check that out. I think it's actually now like you could listen to it everywhere you listen to podcasts.
Yeah,
Just
that's
wherever
where
you
I-
listen to the Massenomics podcast, you could find it there.
Yep, I was waiting for it to pop up in my podcast feed, and it is there now. So actually, you know what? I gotta make sure I actually hit there. Now
Sub.
I'm subscribed. I
Are
was
you
just
subbed?
I was just playing it. I wasn't subscribed before. Geez, what kind of supporter am I?
Not
There
a
we
very
go.
good one.
No, but now we're good.
Did you see couple things about YouTube? I have YouTube written down here. Obviously, we've been pumping out a new YouTube video every week, so make sure you're subscribing to the Massenomics YouTube channel. That wasn't really the comment I was going to make, though. Did you see did I talk about last week about the change in programming going on at Massenomics Gym?
Oh yeah,
The
yeah.
change in television programming.
You got the Roku now, or
Yeah, we got the
whatever streaming device.
Yeah, I've got a playlist of about 21 Massenomics videos that are playing there, and it's all the old competitions, all of the gym tours. It's got Juggernaut's video in there when they were at the gym,
Yep.
and then it's got a couple of our reviews, like the Strength Co plate review. And so there's about 21 videos in there. I would assume the whole playlist is several hours long because some of those event videos alone are like 30, 40, 50 minutes. So, but for any IT people, maybe even Tommy, you have a thought on this. So I'm using a TV with a Roku stick plugged in,
Yep.
and then using YouTube. And on YouTube, I've got it figured out where you can go to any playlist and loop it, so it should continue to play.
Okay.
Roku has a setting that I got this far at least. They have a setting that by default they'll only let you play for 4 hours straight, and then they'll ask you, are you still watching when there's no activity? I got that switch, so that's off. So it should keep playing, but something keeps happening where YouTube quits working, shuts off, freeze. It's like, I don't know what it is. It'll loop, but I can even test. I can go to the end of the playlist and it'll loop back around to the beginning and stuff. But something between the time I leave there and 24 hours later when I come back, it's screwed up almost every time.
Yeah, that's a good question. I'd have to do some Googling there. I don't know. The only
anyone
real
that's
the only real workaround is that we know for sure would work. Save all the videos, burn them to a DVD, put the DVD in the DVD player.
Yeah. Or could I suppose you could put it on a USB drive itself and play that through the TV too.
Probably, but then you're at the mercy of that USB drive and however the TV
Right.
handles that too, which I don't know if that's any
Right.
better or not.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's definitely some way. I'm just not sure if.
So if anyone
Roku
has
and YouTube are
experience
gonna
with
cooperate.
looping YouTube videos in perpetuity through Roku sticks,
You get YouTube Premium where you can save videos offline, and then it probably just lets you
yeah.
play it nonstop.
Yep. But so I don't know, and it also could be that the TV is like 15 years old. Maybe the TV is like, I don't know how it's really related. It doesn't seem like it should
Yeah,
be. Like
I
the
don't
TV,
know.
all the TV is doing is
It's
doing
just all
what
those
the
streaming
Roku's telling it.
services
Yeah.
got to do so much to protect their bandwidth. I think that
Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised if by default they do almost everything they can to stop
Yeah,
long term playing without any input.
Right. And that's what's happening. That is what I believe is happening, but someone out there probably knows a workaround to it.
Yeah, there's
So
got to
let
be
me
one.
know. But it is fun. I do like it. I do enjoy seeing that stuff, especially the really old competitions.
You put it on Instagram today. There was the plate video, and I was shocked to see that because I did not know that was in the playlist. So
And
it's
I
funny to
want
think that
these-
one's getting looped.
I really want these to loop so that when I want the feeling of coming in and not having any idea what videos and just be like, I just want to catch a part of the video while I get ready instead of
just be
like every time I
surprised.
have to restart it and I'm like, oh, I know the order and I want to just be caught, be like, oh, there's that time.
Yep. The
That's
roulette
funny.
wheel goes. What am I going to
Yeah.
get? Yeah, I hear you.
Yeah.
On YouTube News today, the past few days, it really hit me. I think I need to subscribe to YouTube Premium. The ads are just getting out of control. There's just so many ads that play all the time. And that's probably our primary. It's funny, you have all these streaming services. I can say without a doubt, the service we watch the most is YouTube. Like me personally, I watch
your
so
TV.
Oh yeah, on our TV. I watch so much stuff on YouTube. My boy, he just likes to watch shows on YouTube, kids shows and all that. And part of me thinks, why am I not just buying YouTube Premium to skip all of these ads? I pay for all these other services that I watch maybe a couple hours a week at a most, and like YouTube, the numbers are so much higher. So I'll probably break down and do that pretty soon, but
So that's not YouTube TV. That's just
because that's live TV. It's a different.
That's just ad. That's just ad-free YouTube.
Yeah, and technically it lets you. I think it lets you download videos and save them for like offline play. Like when you if you're going on a trip or whatever, you can hit the download. It'll let you.
How
save.
much is that?
So you can do. You can do like a pre. I think it's for a single account. It's like $12, or if you want to pay for a year, it's like $10 a month, which not too bad. If you have a family account where like each people in your household, have a different YouTube account, then it ends up being like $23 a month, but that's for up to 5 accounts. Everyone just uses mine. So we could just get by with the one. So I'm like, $10 a month. That's probably worth doing.
And then YouTube TV would be considerably more expensive.
Yeah. I think that's like 70 something a month.
Yeah.
Cause now you're just talking cable,
Yeah.
But
it's not TV.
On the computer, you just use ad block. You put ad block in your browser, you never see ads, which is great. But it's on the Roku, you can't get around it. So
right. So do you use a Roku or do you use your smart TV?
No, I use a Roku. Like every smart TV I've ever had, they're so slow.
They're
my
bad.
God, they're terrible. And I think Rokus are, especially for $30, I think Rokus are pretty damn good, actually.
Yeah, for sure. Okay. What about can? Do you have a can over there?
I do, yes.
And I've got a bottle. I don't know if you noticed that.
Oh, I didn't know if that was just for show or if that was the real deal.
This is for popping tops.
Wow. Getting saucy on the podcast tonight.
Yep.
I'm not sure how good this cherry bubbly is going to be because it was hot in the garage.
I like a piping hot sparkling water. I'm having a Shiner Bock.
I think it enhances the flavor, the warmth. It lets your taste buds absorb it more.
It is like you don't want the cold getting in the way of the Flavor Town, like this mass Flavor Town.
There is nothing getting in the way here.
Same way with my beer. I like them piss warm, although this Shiner Bock is cold. So
how'd you decide on the Shiner Bock tonight?
Well, tonight specifically, I went to my downstairs fridge and this was like this or I don't know, it's like stevia or something. Make a sweetened pot, or artificial sweetened drink, and that didn't look good to me, and I didn't want to walk upstairs to go to that fridge.
Ya. So by default,
but the broader reason of Shiner Bock is I've been on a bit. I've been on a bit of a Shiner Bock kick lately. I don't know.
Have you?
One of the bars I went to had it on tap, and then I've just been. I'm like, you know what? I guess I like that better than what I thought I liked it.
It's a tasty brew. It's one that is fairly easy to find in the Midwest as far as craft beers go.
Shiner Bock is Austin, Texas, isn't it?
I think so. Something Texas.
Yeah. It's tasty though. What do you rate your piss warm
cherry
sparkler?
Is always really good. So actually, this isn't cherry. It's raspberry. I don't know why I kept saying cherry. Yeah, raspberry.
Samsonite. I was way off.
I know I think we've had this before. Haven't we had raspberry bubbly?
I think we popped a little raspberry bubbly before.
I'm really between a 3.5 and a 4 on this. Maybe because it's so warm, I'm confused on what way to rate it right now. Maybe I'll go 3.5. And I wouldn't be surprised if in the past that number was slightly different, but I'm going to go 3.5 today.
I'm going to go 4 on the Shiner Bock. It's just tasty as all get out.
It's a real classic brew.
I see you put this in there. You said concert. Did you also go to a concert this weekend?
No, you've been a bit of a concert guy, though.
I am kind of a concert. Everyone knows I've been a record guy for a long time, but this year, in particular, it seems like I'm turning into a bit of a concert guy.
That's really part of being a record guy is you have to be a concert guy. That's like stage 2 or 3 of being a record guy.
There might actually be a correlation there, honestly, I think, because of being a record guy, I do pay a bit more attention to the no attention I was paying to music like the prior 10 years. So now I am more aware and not that I'm a enormous music buff, but I've gotten more into some things, so that leads me into maybe being more apt to go to a concert. But I do, just talking about the concerts and the different things that we've both been to over recently, I do just enjoy the experience.
Oh, yeah.
Like, regardless of the entertainment almost. Like, it's just, I do value the experience more now maybe than I have in the past, actually.
Yeah, if you can go and just not have a care in the world for a few hours or that whole night.
That's what it is.
It's a pretty damn good feeling.
That's actually a really good, that's what it is. That's right. That is right. I never thought of it like that.
It's as much of a vacation as you can get without really having to go too far, you know?
Yeah, that's what it is. It's like a little half, it's like a half, 3 hours of just like checked out from everything else, not looking at my phone, not doing anything with kids, which I love my kids, but like.
And the people closest to you usually know that you're there too, so they intentionally know, like, well, we can't bug you. You're doing something fun. Whereas like other things, people might just not even be aware and they could still bug you. So, but okay, it looked like you got pretty good seats. So how were the seats? Who'd you see all that?
It was in US Bank Stadium, which I've never been to a concert there. Have you?
I've been to several Vikings games, but I've never. And that's where the Vikings play in Minneapolis. I've been to several Vikings games. I've never been to a concert
super
there
cool
before.
building, an awesome building.
Because you've been to a game, haven't you? There?
Yeah, I've been to a Vikings game there, and just like it was sold out. So there's like 70,000 people in this building, which is just like even when you've done it before. Let me put
this into perspective for people. That's like over 2 Aberdeens. So
it's almost 3 Aberdeens actually.
All in one building.
Yeah, and we were on the floor, and we were actually in the very first row of seats. The only people in front of us was the pit, basically. Okay. So in the way they had the stage, they had like 2 parts of the stage that came out very far. So if the band members would come like to the front of the stage, they were very close to us when they came to that front part. Like the only people in front of us were the people standing there at the stage, like, whatever it is that people do, holding up their signs and stuff like that. Actually, what everyone does now, I know, after seeing this the last few years, everyone just insists on like trying to get the musical artists to take their phone and take like a selfie video
with it. Yeah,
I'm like, well, everyone tries so hard for that. I'm like, stop doing that.
Yeah, it's annoying. Just some of the damn
like
songs.
That guy doesn't want to be up there like constantly having phones stuck out.
He's there to play songs, not to play phone games for you.
So it was a Luke Combs concert, and going into it, I'm not so these were really awesome seats. I would say we got there, got to the bottom, looked up. I'm like, wow, some of those people are so far away now. Yeah. I'm like,
I can't even make out if those are people or just shapes up there.
It is wild how far away. It was really awesome seats. We actually, I won't get into the specifics of it, but we didn't pay for them. We got the tickets for free. So that part was really cool. The tickets would have been way more money than I would have spent on basically any tickets, but the experience was super cool. Being that close was cool. I'm not a huge Luke Combs fan, but I like him a lot more after going to the concert. I'll tell you that. He put on a really good show, and it was fun. He came out in a Vikings hat right at the beginning and wore that all concert.
Really getting the crowd going.
Yeah, towards the end, he threw on an old Randy Moss jersey, and every member of the band put on a Vikings jersey, and they came out for their encore like that. And like they played Purple Rain, and they did.
At this point, everyone in Minnesota has just gone into a coma because it's just overload.
They did the Vikings drum where they go do skull, and then when everyone yells skull, and it goes do. And Luke Combs was he was the one beating the drums, and I'm like, I'm not even personally an enormous Vikings fan, but I'm around the culture a lot, and it was just at the time that stuff was just was super cool and really good performer. There was like 4 openers, and one of them is, I think it's Lainey Wilson, who people went nuts for her. She must be on the come up big time. She was on Yellowstone.
Okay.
Like the most recent season of Yellowstone.
I still haven't watched Yellowstone yet, so I can't.
But people go nuts for Yellowstone, and like they.
Yes. Oh yeah, totally. Especially around this part of the country.
Yeah. People loved her and loved her message, and like I could after seeing that, I'm like, this person is probably going to be considerably more famous than they are right now really soon, is what I took away from that. But Luke Combs I didn't realize how big of a name or draw because Luke Combs is actually just like right on the edge of the country music, because I like country music, but I like certain country music, and he is just off. I guess I would say he's just like, he's parallel, like just a bit off of what I listen to typically, you know, like it. So I liked it. It's just not really my perfect cup of tea, but in a concert setting, it's awesome.
And okay, so the concert was like, what time did it all get done then? Like, how long of a show was this?
It was very long. The other thing I got to give him props for is that dude stood out on the stage signing autographs. We eventually just, we were watching because there was stuff going, you know, it was just people it was just a spectacle, and we're really close. He stood out there. We eventually just left because he signed autographs for probably, I don't know how long, like at least an hour.
Wow. I didn't think anyone actually did that at that level.
Yeah. Yeah. So, and just watching that, I'm like, oh, that is cool. Like that is cool to see. The other particular note I had is we came in, went all the way down to our seats, and some of the openers, it's in between openers, and we're killing time, and we're like, let's walk back up, you know, to the mid-level and just check out the different shops and stuff up there.
Like through the concourse.
Yeah. And from the ground floor to that middle concourse is a hike up the stairs. And I had underestimated it coming down the stairs, just the hike that it is. When we got up to the top, both of us, my wife being pregnant and me just being, I guess, out of shape, like halfway up, I was like, holy crap, this is a workout. And the only other time we went back up was when we left. And same way, I was like, my legs were like burning going up. Like they're so, and it's like such deep steps, you know, that each step you're taking such a broad step. And I'm like, wow, that should not be that hard.
You said, don't worry, honey, I'm going home and I'm going to start a bridge block and really enhance my aerobic activity.
It really, I thought I was actually kind of feeling like I am in decent shape relatively speaking. And after I did that, I'm like, nope, I guess not.
It's not there today.
Yeah.
Did you stay at the same hotel?
No.
We always said, oh, you did a different one this time.
We stayed in some fancy hotel that was way too much money.
Yeah. Downtown, though, I'm assuming?
Yeah, it was downtown.
Okay.
It was close. We walked to U.S. Bank Stadium.
Oh, okay. That's tough to beat then. Yeah.
Yeah, that's fun, too. That's part of the experience to me. Like,
sure.
You know, we walked to a bar out to eat, then we walked back, and we walked to U.S. Bank Stadium, and it's just and it's really nice out. It was a little rainy, but it was cool. Yeah, cool beans. That's it.
Stuff.
Have you ever heard Luke Combs before?
I've just heard the name. I bet if I went on Spotify, I'm sure if I clicked on one of his top 3 songs, I probably heard it before.
He's got a cover right now of Fast Car that's really popular, I think, and that's
I'm sure I've probably caught one of his songs at some point here.
I bet you have. Yeah. I think a good dude, though. That'd be my takeaway on that, was pretty good dude. Riley Green, I think, was one of the other openers that people really seem to know him. I recognize a couple of songs, but I don't know him. That's it. That's it for concert news until maybe next week if I go to another concert, now that I'm a concert guy.
Yeah. Got that streak going. I keep thinking, I'm kind of in a area that actually has concerts now. I keep waiting for something to pop up for me, but still too many country things.
Yeah. Which is common around here. I see.
Which is really common.
T-Swift is coming to U.S. Bank Stadium soon, which that's probably the hardest ticket in town.
I'm sure those tickets are $1,000 a pop if you're lucky.
And then Metallica and Pantera are coming soon too. Taylor Swift played in Aberdeen at the Brown County Fair.
I know, isn't that nuts?
Years ago. Yeah,
that's kind of crazy. Well,
Fun bit of trivia there.
It was probably over 10 years ago, wasn't it?
Yeah, it's probably quite. Yeah,
that is funny. That used to be a real hot spot for people on the come up, though, wasn't it?
Yeah, they at times do a good job of catching people at the right time.
This year, they got Lil Jon. I'd say, is there ever a wrong time to catch Lil Jon? No, not a chance.
I would say, yeah. It's really good Lil Jon impression.
Actually, in other Aberdeen news, this might be relevant for all of our people. We got people coming in July for the meet. Lift Hard Live Easy Classic. What are we, 60?
July 22nd?
60-ish days out?
66 days out,
66 days out. A little public service announcement. I think we should get this out there, and I don't know if you're aware of this yet, Tanner, but I believe the world-famous Silver Dollar Bar has closed, or has changed ownership.
It's closed.
Actually closed?
Yeah, they had their last
hoorah.
Yeah, I heard maybe they're going to take the liquor. I heard maybe he bought it to get the liquor license or something, and I don't know what they're going to do with that building.
Wow.
But yeah, they're Aberdeen is with Sansa Strip Club now. There is no more remaining strip clubs in
At one
Aberdeen.
point, they had 2, then they had 1, now they got 0. I mean, if that's not small town America dying, then I don't know what is.
And if you go farther back and be like prior the start of my Aberdeen history, there was 2, and I went to both. I did. Not me. If someone was into that sort of thing, maybe they would have went to both. But,
sort of thing ain't my bag, baby.
but prior to us, there was at one point, like 30-ish years ago, there was like 4 open strip clubs simultaneously in Aberdeen.
Seriously?
Yeah.
Really?
Yes. You should ask some older Aberdeen natives. That
Wow.
I can't name them all. I of course just know the Cove and the Dollar, but there was others. There was like downtown on Main, where a couple of those other bars are. 1 or 2 of those were also strip clubs.
Really?
Yep. I think at one point in time, this might be accurate. There was 4 strip clubs in town at once.
That is shocking. I had no idea.
I wonder if the strip club is going the way of the mall. Like
yes. Or
also because people just get it online.
It's just OnlyFans has ruined the strip club industry.
Right.
The top 1% of earners make 98% of the income.
Really though, what does that say if the town used to, I mean, be it funny as it may, the town used to support 4 strip clubs. It went to 2, it went to 1. Now, like, apparently the customers have chosen that 1 is not necessary.
Yeah, I don't know what. Yeah, that seems to be in person connections are just dying, I guess. In-person relationships just don't work anymore. Wow. Well, okay. I just wanted to make sure people had that off their itinerary, so that no one was caught off guard when they touched down on July 21st.
Yeah, it's no, it's not open. They had like their final night, and I don't know, maybe the rumors I heard are wrong and that it is going to reopen at some point in time, but I've heard it will not come back open.
That wouldn't surprise me. I would not doubt for a second that someone wanted the liquor license and tossed the business to the side.
Yeah. Oh, that was the dollar.
Yeah.
I didn't know that's what the dollar was when you...
I figured you wouldn't know if I just put dollar on the list of what I was talking about.
If you would have put the dollar, I would have
known.
But
that's why I was very careful with my wording there.
I was like, dollar? What's dollar going to be? Yeah, that did catch me off guard. Do we have time for an ad here?
Yeah, let's do it. Should I start booting people and get our guest ready?
Yeah, is he waiting yet for us?
He just entered the waiting room.
Okay, let's I'm going to hit everyone with a little ad here. Check out spud-ink-straps.com. Spud Ink started because the lifting straps available at that time were not tough enough to handle the daily punishment that comes with training as a powerlifter, or that could easily fit in your gym bag. Spud Ink created their straps to withstand whatever your training puts them through. Finally, they have training gear that just works as hard as you do. So whether you're looking for belts, harnesses, deadlift straps, bow ties, sleeves, belt strap belts, basically everything, any kind of belt or strap that you could think of, Spud Ink has you covered. Head over to their website. They've got free shipping on all domestic orders of $75 or more. Make sure to let them know that your good old buddies at Massenomics sent you. Thanks, Spud Ink.
Thank you. Okay, maybe I'll read a little something here, too.
All right.
This episode is brought to you by the Silver Dollar. No, not
the world-famous Silver Dollar Bar, now closed.
This episode is also brought to you by Texas Power Bars. Buddy Caps first started lifting weights in the late 60s and began powerlifting in the mid-70s. At the time, he was working for Image Barbell building gym equipment. Around 1976, a local machine shop started making Olympic bars for them, calling it the Image Bar. In 1977, Image Barbell became Champion Barbell. It was then that Buddy started looking at the bars with an intent of changing them for the better. In 1979, Buddy bought his first lathe to begin addressing the known issues. In 1980, his passion, drive, and purpose now had a greater mission. Buddy set out on his own to make what he believed was the greatest bar he'd ever seen and trained with, and the Texas Power Bar was born. It was strong as a house with the best knurling and was maintenance free. Hundreds of state, national, international, and world powerlifting records have been and continue to be set and broken on the Texas Power Bar. To learn more about Texas Power Bars and buy one of their legendary bars, visit texaspowerbars.com. And Tanner, correct me if I'm wrong, I believe they have a little sale going on. It might be done by the time you're hearing this, but
$30 off a power bar, maybe like $50 off a deadlift bar. So check that out.
Pretty good savings. So
that's awesome. It's like 10% off or 10-15% off bars.
If that's not on their website, it was for sure on their Instagram. So check that out if you're in the market for them. They are one of our personal favorites, one of the first bars we ever bought in the gym, and the one brand of bar we own the most of, for sure.
For sure.
So you can't go wrong with a Texas Power Bar.
One last quick bit of follow-up. Big Nathan mentioned that Laney Wilson has a dump truck. Laney Wilson has a dump truck.
I had to actually, while you were talking, type that in, and then I'm like,
maybe in a way that is not you don't normally quite see. There's something different there. I'm not sure.
I actually had to type it in, and then I said, "Oh, she pops up in my Instagram Discover page." I know what's going on.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. That may be part of her growing popularity, possibly.
All right, we better let our guests in.
All right,
Big Bryce in the house. Allow him to start video. I'm going to admit him right now. Should be coming in any minute here.
Hey, Big Bryce. How's it going?
Oh, I think I got him muted here. Let's see.
There we go. Okay. It was telling me I was not allowed to unmute myself, so apologies. Hello. How are you?
Good. How's it going? I'm Tanner.
And I'm Tommy, Bryce.
Hello. Hello to both of you. Good to meet you.
What are you drinking there?
I've got a little bit of whiskey.
Okay.
Because it's later in the evening here. It's time to wind down and relax, and I'm looking forward to a nice chat. So yeah.
Absolutely. Like 20% of our podcast each week is just us talking about what we're drinking. So fits in great. And we are recording, by the way. We don't want to say a bunch of cool, fun stuff and miss it be recording. So we'll just catch everything right away. So what is your whiskey there that you're going to?
It's a Suntory Toki whiskey. It's a Japanese Scotch. I guess you can't call it a Scotch because it's not from Scotland, but it's a Japanese Scotch-like whiskey.
Tanner, do you know instantly what he's talking about when he says that?
Obviously, I'm of Scottish heritage, so and I almost like whiskey. You know, I've for years been trying to make myself think that I like whiskey. I haven't gotten there yet, but I figure if I keep trying, eventually I'll have to like it.
Well, unless this is like too much heresy because it's not Scottish, so it's a good place to start, maybe.
All right, I'll keep it in mind. I'm drinking a Shiner Bock. Are you a beer guy yourself at all, or more of a whiskey guy?
Okay. Yeah, love beer.
There's probably some good local Calgary brews, I would imagine.
I think there's over 100 breweries in Calgary. It's like our second biggest industry next to, I don't know, being cowboys or something. But yeah, there's an absolutely immense amount of breweries here. It's wild.
You do certainly have the cowboy look to you, don't you?
Do I?
You know, that was our first question. That was going to be our first question is, when did you become a cowboy?
It must be 2012, I think, right when I moved here. It's just, it was like more of a calling than anything really.
Yeah, we're from South Dakota. We say Western, Northeast, South Dakota, but it's really we're close to North Dakota, close to the North Dakota, close to the Minnesota border. So we're not too far. I don't think you're a Canadian native, but not Calgary, right? That's not where you grew up.
Yeah. I grew up in Saskatchewan, which is just one province to the east. A lot flatter there.
Saskatchewan, that would be straight north of us, isn't it, Tommy? Or am I off on that?
So, isn't it?
Yeah,
that's about right.
I mean, Winnipeg is like straight north of us.
Right? Okay, so Saskatchewan is just slightly west of that. But
so when you say a lot flatter, that is like where we live. That is what it's like here. So yeah, Calgary is more of a. What is Calgary like? I know it's a large city, but what I wondered is, would you compare it to if you compared it to a U.S. city, does it feel like Denver in some ways, or would that not be an accurate comparison?
I've never been to Denver, but from what I know of Denver, I would say that's probably a pretty apt comparison.
Okay.
Yeah.
It seems like kind of a cool city. Is that right or not?
I love it. Yeah,
Yeah.
I love it. I, immediately found a bunch of people that lifted that I connected with and like fell into a big community and have been able to like kind of compound on that and grow it and just like kind of found home when I moved here. So I'm a big Calgary stan, as
Right
you
on.
well might imagine. Yeah.
Yeah. So as a Canadian and a average strength sport participant and maybe enthusiast yourself, do you follow World's Strongest Man at all? And if you do, were you rooting for Mitch Hooper this year?
I don't follow it closely, but I was stoked to see a Canadian on the podium. I follow it closely enough that there's enough sort of, in the periphery. And yeah, I mean, generally speaking, people were very stoked to see a Canadian at the top of the podium. We've had JF Caron and a couple other guys kind of in the mix over the years, but this might be, again,
I think it's the first Canadian. Yeah,
okay.
I think it is.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's definitely cool to see that happen for sure.
Yeah, right on. If this is like a weird hypothetical question.
Okay.
If the Canadian government, because we know you're also a music guy, so this kind of ties into, you're also a bit of a lifting guy. Most people are probably aware of that too. So
yeah.
Think of a alternative future, maybe a dystopian future where the Canadian government only allowed its citizens to either listen to music or lift weights. Which would you choose?
That would gut me, but I think I would. Honestly, I think I'd have to choose lifting. It would be a
and
terrible
never listen to
time
another
to be
song.
alive.
Yeah.
I think I need lifting more than I need music, although it's a pretty close second.
Tommy, what would you do? That's a hard question. I mean,
I feel bad
really
now,
hard.
actually, for having answered that.
Yeah. That's really tough because you could say, well, technically I could do some type of other physical activity or working out of some
the
kind.
lines. Yeah.
So maybe you could, maybe that's a way to get around it. But I mean, if it was music or like no physical activity, I'd definitely have to take, lifting.
Yeah, there's
physical activity. It's
health issues out of or mental health issues with in the case of music possibly though too. So it still is that is a tricky thought, I think.
Yeah, not a future I'd like to live in, I don't think, having to choose one or the other.
Yeah, what would you describe your music taste as? Like, what are you into?
Oh man,
or can't you put
pretty
it in a
much
box
everything
like that?
except like modern pop country. Like I enjoy a lot of electronic music. I enjoy a lot of like bluegrass music, a lot of really aggressive, intense metal music and hardcore and post-hardcore and like R&B and hip hop and rock and like Katy Perry and Dua Lipa's one of her recent albums is an absolute banger. Like I love a lot of music and a very wide variety of genres, but I can't get behind like modern pop country. It just has always just been like nails on a chalkboard to me.
Yeah, so I've got one for you. I listen to country just outside of pop. We actually were just talking about this earlier. So there's actually a Saskatchewan native that I'm pretty into from Saskatoon. Colter Wall. Have you ever heard the name?
Colter Wall.
Yeah. Colter Wall. Do you like Colter Wall?
Love that stuff.
Yeah, that's
first time I heard
my
Sleeping on the
jam.
Blacktop.
Yeah. That's good stuff. But that's not pop country.
No, I wouldn't consider it that. Although I think he's like starting to gain a lot of success and notoriety and stuff, but I wouldn't consider it like that genre of kind of like really produced and kind of packaged and formulaic, like dog car pickup truck kind of just.
Although he might hit on some of those things, I agree. You're right. And it's funny though, because my wife and I talk about this. She's a big Zach Bryan fan, and he's become a lot more popular. Or in the past, it was she's a Steel Drivers fan. It's Chris Stapleton is the guy that was the Steel Drivers. It was a little more niche when he was the Steel Drivers. It was very bluegrass and stuff, and now it's now he's like country music's biggest star. And my thought on this, like with some of these country music singers, we like to like them when they're not popular. It's like, I don't know, you think you're cool or something. I don't feel like that's what I think, but that's almost part of it. And maybe you think this across other genres too, but like a Colter Wall, It's like the Batman thing. Actually, you either die a hero or you live long enough to see yourself become the villain, kind of, where it's like you become Chris Stapleton then, and all of a sudden it's like, nah, I don't know if I like Chris Stapleton anymore.
Well, it's like, but it's like the thing in music forever. It's, once, you're the up and coming band, and then once you make it, you're a sellout, and then that's the problem is now you're a sellout.
Yeah. I think there's like kind of two paths that a lot of bands will take once they gain that level of popularity. And it's kind of either way you go, like, you're not making everybody happy because it's just not possible. But bands will like completely reinvent their sound and go do whatever they want, whatever brings them, artistic fulfillment and sort of satisfies that creative itch. And people will be like, oh, they changed. Like, I like their older stuff better. They suck now. Or they'll just like keep making the same record over and over again because they think that's like what people want. And some people will be stoked either way, and some people will be really mad either way. So you kind of can't win, as far as I can tell.
I think that is the good takeaway, is like you're kind of, somebody's not going to like it no matter what.
Yeah.
Okay. So as a Canadian IPF lifter, have you been, with what's gone on over the last 2 or 3 years with USAPL, IPF, stuff like that, do you care at all? Or have you just been, have the Canadian IPF lifters up there been sitting back and laughing and thinking, I love our lack of drama here in regards to this? Or like, what's your take on that?
Yeah, I mean, we have all kinds of drama of our own, but I mean, it's hard not to see that and probably like have some kind of opinion. But I think like at the end of the day, that's kind of the historic path that a lot of these federations have taken over the years. And it just like, it often seems to be around drug testing and drug testing practices. And I think, looking back at the federations and the way they've fractured to even form like what we have as the IPF now, it was one of those split off things. And I think my overall take on it is just that I wish there was a way we could get like more together instead of constantly seeing things fracture off and everybody needing to go their own direction with things. Because I think if there's any, the big IPF thing, and personally I think it's kind of a pipe dream, but the Olympic dream, if there is any merit to that, it's probably being recognized by national sporting associations and things like that, so that there's funding for lifters competing at nationals and above and that kind of thing. And there's more money in the sport coming from government funding. And I think if there's any way to like nudge things towards that more, it's probably being more unified as opposed to being more fractured and having 15 different federations kind of thing. So
it's like the old saying goes, you can never have enough federations. More federations is always the answer.
That old gooder. Yeah.
It's just
that's the one thing that's been holding the sport back, I think, is a lack of enough.
It's too variety. It's too united. It needs to be more fractured to give people some more spice.
Yeah.
Like, no, I like a deadlift bar. Some drugs, not too much, a medium amount of drugs,
but
and then
just the right amount. Yeah.
Right.
But we need a 2-hour weigh in. All the other guys did a 24-hour. Let's make a 2-hour weigh in now. Yeah, we got to just figure more ways to segment this.
Yeah.
So you've done a whole bunch of meets. Like if you look on your open powerlifting history, there's a long history there, and I didn't count it, but it seems like it's almost somewhat evenly split between raw and single ply. Maybe that's off a little bit, but where does your allegiance lie there? Like, do you have a preference or what?
This podcast is just picking sides against.
We're just trying to really label you. We need some labels here.
We want to be able to really like pin you down on stuff and make it be device. We're really looking for those Instagram reel clips so we can.
I mean, it all comes down to there not being enough federations.
In the Massenomics world, there's no room for shades of gray. Everything is black and white. So we need to get this figured out.
Right. So I did like a couple years of equipped, probably 2 years worth of meets or something like that. And I don't know if I have one that like I would prefer as sort of like an overall thing. I think equipped there's something about the added level of intensity and focus and like the sort of like razor's edge room for error and stuff like that I find incredibly appealing and very, very stimulating. But there's also something about raw being and especially with like where I'm at in my life right now, being a little more able to fit in and around things like, work and home life and that kind of stuff. I think the equipped stuff, one of the things that kind of eventually drove me away or at least made the decision easier for me to move away from it was that it was like 4.5 hours. At least one of my sessions per week was 4.5 hours, getting in and out of the equipment and warming up to the weights that are like, 120, 130% or whatever the hell of my raw max, needing, a crew of 5 spotters, potentially having somebody come in to wrap your knees for you. And it's a lot. It's physically and mentally draining as hell. And it's a hell of a lot of fun, but I think I need to be in a place where I have like that much to give. I need to be able to like tilt the seesaw of quote unquote balance enough towards lifting to be able to give that the attention it deserves.
Yeah, so if you're single and don't have a job and stuff like that, equipped lifting might come a little bit easier.
I made it work.
Yeah.
In my situation then, but I think it's a lot. It's a lot.
Yeah. How much do you get out of a single ply deadlifting versus your raw deadlift when you're wearing the suit?
So the deadlift suit, I think I was pretty good in the deadlift suit. Like I think as compared to probably your average, I think I got maybe a little more out of it. And I would guess that, I got somewhere in the neighborhood of like 5 to 10%, maybe.
Yeah.
Like my best raw pull is, 385. My best equipped is 400. So like somewhere in that neighborhood of, that 20 kilos on a 400 kind of deal.
Yeah, it's significant. Whereas the common phrase that someone that maybe just dabbles in it a little bit might say is like, oh, the bench shirt, the squat suit, that adds a lot, but the deadlift suit, there wasn't much there for me, like it.
Mm-hmm.
So for you, and you pull sumo, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Like, so maybe there's, I
I'm
assume that there's more. Yeah. We actually, I don't know if you're aware, but we consider everything that's not a Jefferson deadlift cheating. So
okay.
We throw traditional right in there with sumo.
I appreciate that elevated level of purity.
Yeah. We get sick of people getting in the weeds on sumo versus conventional, and we kind of think we're like S tier at Jefferson deadlifting.
All right. Yeah. No, I like that.
Have you ever done a Jefferson deadlift?
I don't know if I ever have on purpose anyways.
In case you didn't know, we are the unofficial...
We keep the record book.
We keep the record book for the world records of the Jefferson deadlift. So
okay,
we are the record keepers.
Top 10 to hit top 10 now. I think the bottom of top 10 is around like 720. You'd have to pull like about a 720 to break the top 10. If that would ever be something that interests you.
And are there weight classes within this record?
It is not.
No weight classes in the Jefferson jungle.
Deadlifts in the jungle.
No.
It's just like the jungle. There's no weight classes here.
Okay. All right. Interesting. Well, I'll squirrel that away in the back of my head. And if
maybe Tanner,
real spicy.
What's the world record? Just so he has something to be thinking about over there.
That's deadliest lift. We've had him on the podcast. Now I'm just Mark
Rosenberg.
He now has I think it's 930 pounds.
Oh my God. Okay.
Yeah.
That's wild.
I think there's 2 over 900 now, maybe. It's weird though. Some people would maybe say they can some people can Jefferson deadlift more than they can conventional or sumo actually. So kind of odd. Whereas some people it's very awkward and uncomfortable for.
Yeah.
So
it looks awkward.
But you were getting a lot of carryover out of the deadlift suit. Maybe you get even more carryover if you do some Jefferson deadlifts. Something to think about.
Is there a world record for equipped Jefferson deadlift?
No, but I mean, I don't think I would even score it. We would put it in the record book. I think, honestly,
it's just the lift is the only thing we care about. Yeah.
All right.
There's no equipment requirements in this jungle either. So.
Actually, my brain's like confused. That's never came up before. I'm kind of shocked actually.
Yeah, maybe because of the difficulty of getting in that sort of position with.
It's gonna feel bad.
What if you could? What if you don't know it and it's naturally easier for you, and you could just go walk in right now and pull 900 Jefferson deadlift? Would you do it?
I mean, I'll tell you a really quick story. My business partner and I were driving to the place that's now our gym, and one of the first times we ever went there, we saw this like beat up minivan in front of us with just the worst marketing for some home business thing. And I don't even know what the business name was, but in big quotes, it just said on the back windshield, "If you never try, then you never know." And that's always stuck with me. So when I get faced with questions like this, it's like, well, you know, if you never try, then you never know.
That's true.
Terrible marketing, but
is the sport, or maybe the skill, maybe it's the skill of powerlifting, is it's simple or complex?
I think I'm gonna probably like dodge this a little by saying both.
Yeah. Well, I think I bring it up because I think I've heard you say something before about it. I can't remember exactly what. I just remember that it was particularly interesting. So I just wanted to get your take on that again.
I feel like I probably quoted that. Have you guys seen that documentary, Power Unlimited?
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
Like
We've done a full review of Power Unlimited with Silent Mike and Jim McD. We did a full deep dive on Power Unlimited. Actually, we have the
DVD even.
The DVD plays on repeat in our in Massenomics gym, and I think the producer, the guy that was behind it, he actually reached out to me after we did our podcast review of it, and he was defending anything that we said. You know, overall we had a lot of good things to say about it, but he had some good just enlightened me a little bit. Actually, not to interrupt too, but I think they're working on another one.
Oh,
yeah,
nice, very interesting. Yeah, no, I grew up like watching that just over and over on YouTube. And when I say I grew up, I mean like starting powerlifting, basically. But that was, there weren't a whole lot of resources or like YouTube for powerlifters and stuff like that back then. And I just remember watching that over and over and over again. But there was a quote, and I can't remember who it was, but I think they said that powerlifting is like simple in form but complex in execution or something like that. And that always stuck with me, right? Because you think about like the 3 lifts and it's like, okay, you just like sit down and stand up. But as soon as you get into the execution and the technique and the different leverages for different body types and strengths and weaknesses and the nuance of bar position and, some people's tendency to do just completely unnatural seeming things with their stance, or toe angle and that kind of stuff, it really does begin to layer on a lot of complexity. So yeah, I mean, you can look at it and say it's just a squat, like the Karwoski mentality of like, it's just ballast, you ride it down, ride it back up, can you just not fuck up for 10 seconds or whatever. But I think like there's elements of both, and I think at times probably very worthwhile to think about it one way over the other, right? Like if you're in training and you're trying to like dissect things and pick things apart, then okay, yes, it's complex. We break it down to its different components and discuss all the different options and ways of moving and all that kind of stuff. But if you're about to go get under a PR, like you're just squatting, you just go squat. That's it. Like you can't be too heady about it at that point, I think.
Yeah, that makes sense. And speaking of powerlifting documentaries, the Powerlifter, which I particularly enjoy, maybe that's like 3 years old by now. I'm not sure how old, a couple years old or something like that by now. And that's on your YouTube channel, I'm pretty sure. And I just wondered, I've seen it. I watched it here recently, actually, in preparation for this, and I actually forgot how much I enjoyed it until watching it again. So shout out to that. Anyone listening that hasn't seen it, is it what is the YouTube? Is it Calgary Barbell? Is that the YouTube channel? Check it out. It'll be one of the first videos that shows up if you look at top videos or whatever. It's called The Powerlifter, and it is awesome, but I don't really know any of the backstory of it. I just wondered, a few things, anything you could say about it would be interesting, but like what led to you guys making that? Who made that? And then follow up to that, like the process of that, was it did it end up being like what you expected going into it, or what was the workload like on something like that?
So it was a result of this, like TELUS has this sort of like creative funding initiative that they do every so often. And they essentially put up a number of grants for I mean, that year was documentaries. I think they've done music videos, depending on, sort of what mood they're in, maybe, who knows,
And is
or
Telus-
how
is that
much
like
money
a-
they need to write off.
is that
It's
like
a
a-
telecom communications company that is one of the few that monopolizes cell service here in Canada. And you can get your internet from them or like one other company. But they, I guess they like fund creatives. It was Telus. Can't remember the name of it. Anyways, so my business partner Dylan is sort of like videographer extraordinaire that's responsible for anything you've ever seen me in where I look cool. That's his doing, not mine. So we had been, running the YouTube channel for a number of years, and he was like, I think with the little bit of like YouTube following we have and social media reach, like there's at least one project gets funded as a result of popular vote. And he's like, so if we just like hammer them with votes and get everyone we know to try to shout this out so we can get that funding and make this thing, like we can do it. And the next year they no longer took public vote, but
Because you guys ran away with it. They were like,
Taught 'em
wait
their
a second,
lesson.
what was going on here with this?
I'm
one?
not sure
That's-
if it was that
Yeah.
or like our reluctance to kind of do things the way they wanted us to.
Okay.
And that kind of leads into the next part of the question, which was like who did that and how it kind of came together. And Dylan and I's creative process has always just been he and I, right? Like I write scripts and storyboard and whatever else might need to be done for any video we do. And we collaborate pretty heavily on all that stuff. And then he, films, edits, colors, does all the music, does all the audio engineering, does all anything else that needs to happen before it's like shipped and uploaded, whatever. That's all Dylan. And the expectation that Telus had was that we were going to use this money that they gave us to fund a team to film and to rent stuff and to have somebody score the thing and all this other stuff. And we were just like,
we don't need those people.
I think what we'll do is use your money to buy us equipment that we can keep.
Yeah.
And they were like, it's not really how we want you to do it. And you'll like come up with a budget and stuff. And we're like, well, that's what we're going to do. So, I mean, we did it the way that we normally do it. We were lucky enough to work with a kind of like mentor who was, very legitimately planted in the film industry locally, who was kind of like, here's the process, here's, the way you have to write these proposals to submit them and blah, blah, blah. And there was a lot more kind of groundwork to that than any other project we had done previously. We needed to do more scripting and more storyboarding and at least like flesh out all of the different situations that we wanted to try to capture, and then figure out how we were going to try to get them and how they were going to fit and, all that kind of stuff. So it was like, for us, it was kind of like a really, really big, beefy YouTube video where we had a budget to kind of like travel and go see my parents and, talk to the guy who kind of got me into powerlifting way back in the day and have Dylan out to cover a meet and upgrade our equipment and make things look better and put a boatload of time into it. So yeah, it was pretty cool to be able to do something like that. I think we'd like to be able to do something like that again at some point.
Yeah. Did it feel rewarding then? Granted, it's a little different as a grant project. That's a sweet deal and stuff. But you obviously end up with a lot of time into it. And did you get out of it what you feel like you would hope to get out of it, or maybe that's not maybe you didn't have certain expectations in that way?
Yeah, I mean, I don't really know if we knew what we were going to get out of it. We just knew we wanted to do it.
Yeah.
We just thought like, okay, I think we have like a cool story we can tell. I think we're good enough at telling stories that we can make something really cool. People are going to see and be like, oh shit, what is powerlifting? I want to do that. Like, this seems awesome. And I think I've had enough like conversations with people who, saw that and maybe kind of got interested in powerlifting because of that, or that was the thing that put them over the edge to sign up for their first competition or whatever. So I would say in that sense, like, absolutely. Yeah, we got what we wanted out of it. And I think for us, it's also just like a compulsion to do creative stuff like that and to make things and to film and try to tell stories or jokes or whatever. So scratching that itch is also a big part of it, I think.
So when they run the grant process for the music video concept, you guys will get in on that then also.
we might be blacklisted from ever entering one of those things again. Honestly, I don't know. But yeah, I think actually Dylan did, not totally jokingly, toss one of those my way and be like, maybe we should enter for this kind of thing at one point.
Well, have you guys talked about like a follow-up, a more specific follow-up to the Powerlifter?
We have, yeah, that's something that we've mulled around, and I think the biggest constraint right now is just time and manpower, right? Like, it's the two of us running the company, it's the two of us doing all of the things. We manage other coaches, and they help by coaching their client loads, and we work with them on all that stuff. But in terms of like a lot of the social media and film type stuff, that's literally just Dylan and I. And now that we have all kinds of like emails to answer and like administrative things to do and accountants to talk to and stuff, it's just like, yeah, I don't know. It's hard to carve out the time to do like another kind of passion project like that. But that's one of a couple of things that we've thought of to kind of, I don't know, just kind of squirrel away in the background. And if we can get little bits for it here and there, and try to piece something together over maybe a longer time frame.
You're kind of like the band or the music artist now, becoming too successful now for,
Yeah.
Selling out.
Yeah. I'm a sellout.
You brought it up, and Tommy and I both talked about this a couple times in preparation for this, but your I say Instagram content, it's probably out on TikTok and stuff too. We have it. We don't really actively use it like we should.
It's
but
a scary place.
Yeah, it is a scary place.
Tanner's actually downplaying that. He's on TikTok like 24 hours a day.
So we grew up. Then when I say grow up, I mean what you said. When we're all the same age basically. I think too. I'm
okay. Yeah.
Are you 35 or 30?
I'm 35.
I'm 36. You're 35. Tommy's 34. We're all the same age, but we started Massenomics in say like 2016, and we grew up through the Instagram era.
The Instagram boom of the teens.
Yeah, absolutely.
And become very comfortable with that over years of using that platform of social media. And then TikTok comes along and does what it does. And you would think before it came along, you'd be like, well, I don't know what could come along that could, overtake this, or how it could even be different or anything like that. And then you go on there and like, it can be so different, oddly, even though now they kind of have become sort of the same thing, but still yet it can be like a way different tone and a way different audience that you're hitting, where it's like, where are the people from Instagram that I know follow that get it, quote unquote? Where are they in TikTok? Because it feels like a whole bunch of people that you might be getting the views or the count or stuff like that, but it's just a lot of people that have a different level of education or experience with some of the stuff. All that to be said, the comment I want to make is how good, especially as of late, I don't know if this is obviously intentional and focused on it, but how good your short form video content has been, like an Instagram reel, how fun that is now. And like you probably kind of talked about it with the documentary, how you and Dylan work through that, but like how focused of an effort is that? Like, are you guys coming in on Monday and you're like, all right, here's our schedule for, are you scheduling this out? What's it look like?
So maybe a little less organized than say scheduling things out.
Yeah.
But definitely, like, I would say most days of the week we're filming, writing, editing stuff for that content. I mean, we've always been, like I said, like very driven to just like do creative stuff and make content. And, YouTube was that outlet for a long, long time. And then it kind of just slowly petered out and didn't seem to be getting that same kind of engagement, or people didn't seem to be as interested in the formula that we were using or the way we were doing things. So it was probably a period of maybe a year or a year and a half where we tried doing some vlogs and we tried doing live streams, and we were just trying to figure out like, what are people interacting with, where we can like get at people and, spread the good word of powerlifting kind of thing. And it got to a point where I can't even remember. I was just like, I think short form stuff is the way. Like, I think we just need to double down on this stuff. And we had done like a run of a week or two of it at one point. And it went extremely well. We did a couple little shorts and they got shared all over the place. And we got a whole bunch of feedback and a whole bunch of people, stoked on what we were saying. And it just is a different way of presenting things, which I think offers certain challenges, especially when you're trying to present like an intelligent and sort of like whole thought or any kind of nuance in any way, shape, or form. It becomes kind of a challenge to like put things together in a way that still fits that format. But yeah, we've really doubled down on trying to use that as a way to kind of reach more people and engage with the community and the audience that we have and get that stuff out there. So
I would say it's just good. I just really enjoy it. It's just it's good stuff. I like to. It looks like you're kind of getting in the podcast game too with the 1 minute podcast. I just saw that today.
Yeah,
so.
We filmed another one today. Yeah, be coming out soon.
Have you talked about publishing that on like as a podcast?
I mean, I guess that's maybe a thing, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Might as well.
I think we just feel like it's so silly. Like, why would we
That's what we love.
put that on like an actual podcast service? But maybe that's how we, get people to take it a little more seriously. So
I think that would be the perfect way to, like, that's what I like about it. Any of the marketing that's also a little silly, I think that makes so much sense. And granted, you're paying for hosting and some stuff like that, and you're like, it's literally a 60-second podcast. But I think sometimes that people like there's a level of respect to that where you're like, man, these guys are really going the extra mile on, this is this is published as a podcast.
Yeah, they're really doing it. They're not like doing what you're expected to do when it comes to podcasts.
Yeah. I mean, when we kind of like reimagined all the things that we wanted to do and kind of like realized that like, oh, this short form stuff's really something we could invest a lot in. My sort of like drive behind a lot of that was like, I want to be the Miss Frizzle of powerlifting. You know what I mean? Like, I want a magic school bus powerlifting content.
and she could bench quite a bit in that one meme.
Exactly.
That's
That's
4 reds,
yes,
right?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
She outbenches me, I think, at this point. But I think we ended up somewhere between like Miss Frizzle and Chris Farley a little bit, but
Sounds
not
like a pretty good place to be,
be.
honestly.
Yeah.
It's a magic school bus down by the river. Yeah.
I was actually just picturing Chris Farley driving the bus and Billy Madison. It was like, what?
Amazing.
Yeah.
That's too perfect.
That's good though. I think it's just working out great. I don't know. I just every once in a while I pick. I probably am gonna. It's weird. Instagram or all the platforms, they stop showing you stuff. I used to see your stuff more. Mm-hmm. I don't know what happened to that, and all of a sudden, what you're doing must be working in the thought that somehow I'm magically aware of it again. And
I agree 100%. Like up until maybe, a month or two ago, I kind of thought you guys had just completely not produced content for a year or two. And then now all of a sudden it's in my feed all the time. And it's like, no, there was never this huge long break. It just disappears.
I mean, there wasn't also.
Like,
it was
slower,
we
but I actually thought it was just done. Like, it
stuff.
just disappeared forever for me.
Yeah. We stumbled through a lot of stuff and tried to find different formulations of making the YouTube thing work and longer form content and trying to figure out what people wanted. But I think what we've kind of gotten to a place with now is a good place to be, and have found like a bit more of an audience for that creative outlet, which obviously helps with all the business stuff too. So
how do you guys deal with it? Because Tanner and I talk about this all the time, and we're on such a smaller scale than you when it comes to a time investment. Like, we've never put the amount of effort we have into like any of the videos that you guys do. Like, you just all look amazing. They're super well produced, so sleek, and just, they look great. And the content's great too. Ours is like way more,
couple times, and then we say, "Oh my God, I don't know what
we're just way more run and gun. Just get it out there, do it." And even memes all the time. Like, we have this feeling like, "Oh, this is the one that's just gonna go off," and we think it's like, "Oh, I can't wait for these memes to come out. They're so hilarious." And then it's just like, for whatever reason, either they don't hit or Instagram decides, nah, no one needs to see this. And it's like the most annoying feeling. How do you guys deal with that when you think you got something and then it's just, it falls kind of flat for whatever reason?
I do the same way everybody else does. We're like, man, what the hell? Like, I thought this was great. Nobody liked it. I guess I don't know. But you absolutely can't predict that stuff. It just seems so hard to try to predict. And again, that goes back to what we were trying to do with the YouTube and like looking at different analytics and like, oh, if we get maybe longer watch time, then maybe we'll get better, visibility to people. And it just like doesn't seem to make any sense. Because again, we've had stuff where we've put like a lot of work and a lot of effort and a lot of, editing and cool shots and all this kind of stuff. And then we've had other ones where it's like literally just me standing there saying whatever, and we slap some subtitles on it, and like that one blows up. Mm-hmm. So it just like, it doesn't seem to really correlate with like how much work you put in or how cool you as a creator think it is. It's just like, I don't know whether or not you win the coin toss.
And it does. It just seems like at the end of the day, it's always random, which is the most annoying part of the whole thing.
Yeah. It's interesting to see kind of what the algorithm or whatever, like what it likes. But it doesn't seem to be very consistent now.
Yeah, as soon as you think you feel like you know what it is, then you try and repeat. It's like they know if you're trying to repeat something that you feel like it's been successful. They're like, nope,
exactly.
Nope, we can tell this is forced, even though it looks polished. Like, we know that you're trying to do what worked before. We're not going to let it work.
That
won't work again.
That's about the only guarantee. If you feel like you're starting to get momentum, you just know like that backslide's going to come pretty soon.
And I think the way that we've kind of been able to overcome that a couple different times with like starting the YouTube channel back in the day and now with the short form stuff is like, just keep it coming.
Yeah.
Like that's, I don't know. Dylan showed me some clip of he was a fitness influencer of some variety. And he actually had a really poignant sort of a bit that he was talking through about how everybody quits in the middle, right? Like people get really, really excited to like start something up and they go all in, they go all out. Or you see people like at the end who are like successful and seem to have like made it and are doing all the cool things. But it's that like middle chunk in between those two things where everybody quits, right? So if you can just kind of like just keep slogging through, and it, I guess that sort of rings true with a lot of stuff. Lifting,
lifting is totally like
else.
that. It's like, you get past the newbie gains, you're like, oh, now we're in the suck. Now this is like when the work actually has to happen.
Well, Tommy, speaking of my book report thing, not too long ago, I read a book called Finish by John Acuff, and that's exactly, the whole book is built around that premise of everyone's super excited at the beginning. You see the results at the end, but like this middle 80% is where everyone gets lost on it. And that's the whole, his book is just built around this concept of the suck in the middle, basically.
Which is why, this is episode 370 something of the podcast. So any day, like we're going to be figuring out how this goes and things are going to be great. I just
7.5 years in every single week. I think we're at the tipping
It's just
point.
right around the corner. It could be any time in the next 7 years.
And I mean, that's how it goes though, right?
That
we
is how
had
it goes.
On our YouTube channel, I think we got up to like the 280th form check Friday before we kind of like we're like, I don't know if these are doing it anymore, man. But like, I don't know, there's something to be said for consistency.
Well, it is, sure. And you never know, like someone finds that one piece of content, and we have it all the time. Like some of the people that are our biggest supporters, like, oh yeah, I ran across, you had an interview with one person, or I saw one meme, and that was all it took. And to this day, they're great supporters, great followers, great fans of everything we do.
Yeah.
The parallel to lifting really is there though too, as like a submasters guy that's been lifting for a long time and that's been very intermediate. Like you'll go through these stages where because of injury, life setbacks, just stressors that are hard to control, that you get to this point, like you can have these long stretches of time where you feel like, man, I just will never make progress again. And like, if you just stick with it and you're working on it, I've had it numbers of times where I've kind of started to have that thought creep in, and then like just by staying consistent, making a conscious effort to work around it or out of it or whatever, but you can still, like, it just takes not quitting a lot of the times. Yeah.
It's again, big consistency thing. Most things. Yeah.
It's the damn stick to itiveness. We have this special game we like to play with every guest. We actually like to do it, and we just do it with every guest. It's called Underrated, Overrated. So it goes back to our theme before, where We've got a special
Getting divisive.
Yeah, very divisive. We have
Yeah,
a special hand-picked set of big Bryce Calgary barbell topics, and it's your job on each one to decide if they're overrated or underrated. The most important thing you have your druthers to elaborate as much or as little as you'd like, but the most important thing is you have to remember you can't ride the line. You have to ultimately decide if each one is over or under.
All right.
So,
all right. You got to commit. Pick a side.
Topic 1, overrated or underrated cassette tapes.
Ooh, underrated. I'm a cassette tape guy. I got a bunch of them. I think there's a lot of bands that I like that do a lot of cool stuff with cassette tapes. They're small and compact and easy to ship. I don't know if they last super well, but I was able to like refurbish my dad's old cassette player, and I got a cool stereo set up at the gym. So anyways, I like cassette tapes. Underrated.
You're also a bit of a record guy too, right? And
yeah, I've got a very quickly growing collection that I keep at the gym.
What about CDs? Do you have CDs have almost? I mean, they've kind of gotten old enough now that they're somewhat back in a like following that same trend that everything is, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, compact, it's like CDs are a great medium, I think. As long as you don't have them in like a giant book with like 40 pages of them rolling around in the passenger seat of your car.
Oh, you mean what all of
and
us
only a select
did,
number of you out there will get that.
Everyone did, like literally nobody didn't have that.
And then just the front pocket is just 50 burned CDs all smashed together.
Like that yellow brand burned ones where and it's like something's
all I
written
can
on it
see
in
is
Sharpie.
Scratches, and somehow it still plays. I don't know how that works.
Bryce Bangers
there's like a track and
04.
a half. Yeah. So I mean, I have a stack of CDs that sit there in their cases or in the disc changer, and doing it that way is much more civilized and maintains the integrity of them a lot better.
I'm not near as big of a. We talked about this too. I'm not near as big of a music guy as either of you guys are probably. But the physical media, when I got into records, I joke about being a record guy because I'm not that I'm relatively speaking not that into music. But the physical media has actually gotten me way more into it than I was before.
Yeah, I would say the same thing.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. I remember going to like buy CDs of bands that I had never heard from, HMV or whatever equivalent. I don't know if that was HMV a Canadian or American
I don't think that's in America. No,
like
I've never heard that.
Okay.
What are the
when I remember when I would always buy CDs was like at like a Sam Goody or was it
Sam Goody
Coast? Was that one of them? I can't even remember now. Sam Goody was one of them for sure, though. That was
okay.
Yeah, but just like being able to like see the artwork and read the book and like, read through the lyrics and see all that cool stuff.
I love that part. It makes it so much cooler than streaming it.
Yeah, it's just kind of like a different interaction with it. You got to pay attention to it a little more,
Right.
I sound like old man screams at cloud here, but
I find for me personally, like it's so much because I used to buy a lot of CDs. And now, just because of convenience, I'm just Spotify. And now you hear, okay, yep, this is a good album. You need to listen to it. But because it's just so easy to have on in the background, music turns into so much more of this background thing. And then you'll listen to a whole album. You're like, oh, yeah, there was some good songs I liked on there. But it's just like one album. It just turns into like one big long song. You don't even really know. Like, it used to be like, oh, yeah, number 3, number 6, number 7. And that part's gone too. So that's been sort of annoying lately that I've noticed on my end of listening.
Or you get a bunch of recommendations and you're like, okay, I'll just add them to my library, and you never listen to them because it's just like so easy to be like, yeah, no, absolutely, I'll pick that up. But if you get a record or a CD or whatever, you're like, dang, I spent money on this.
I'm going to listen to
as expensive as the media.
And I think that's a part of it too. It's like, I put money into this. I
Right.
can't waste it. I need to actually listen to it. Now it feels just so disposable when you have everything in the world that, just the listening experience goes down.
Okay. Overrated or underrated? The Calgary Stampede.
Oof, overrated.
So could you explain it, I guess?
Yeah. It's like the downtown core shuts down and becomes like a giant party. Everybody breaks out their cowboy boots and cowboy hat that they wear once a year and gets just shithoused for like a week and a half straight. And there's like a fair, basically like a county fair and a rodeo. Some people love it. If it's your thing, great, have fun. But I couldn't care less about it.
Isn't
will
that how
leave
like
town as much as
90% of
possible.
people with cowboy boots and cowboy hats are those? It's like the one time a year special
Yeah.
occasion where they bust
Probably.
them out. Yeah.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, it's a Kmart cowboy. Yeah. Okay, so is there rodeos and stuff then? Is like
Yeah.
Calgary
no,
is
it's
historically
pretty
a cow
legit.
town? Yeah, right,
Yeah.
right. Okay.
But not my thing.
Do you have a cowboy hat somewhere in your closet just in case you go out for the stampede?
I don't.
Okay.
I just got a Tilly hat the other day, which is
What's a Tilly hat?
it's just a Canadian brand of bucket hat.
Oh,
it has
okay.
like some.
Okay.
It's really robust and it's weatherproof. And
Okay.
I don't know. There's like 2 people out there listening to the podcast that are like, I got a Tilly, bro.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's just
Yeah.
for them.
Okay. Overrated or underrated Mega Man?
Ooh, underrated. Love Mega Man. One of my favorite games of all time.
Okay.
Grew up playing Mega Man X, Mega Man X2, X3. The Super Nintendo era of Mega Man X was chef's kiss.
I was going to say the same thing. Like Mega Man X, like that was where it was at. It was,
Uh-huh.
those games were so damn good. And then once you go back to like the original ones, it kind of feels like slow motion and primitive compared to those.
So you're saying like NES? Were they on their regular Nintendo prior to that, or?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. That was like a bit of a different era though. But I think like Mega Man X, there were some extra functions and like controls, like you could dash mid-air and you could dash, which I don't know, maybe wasn't even a thing in original Mega Man, but it was just so good. And the music, the soundtracks of those games are like burned in my mind forever. Love it.
Yeah.
It's like
been
the pause screen on 007. GoldenEye.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah.
GoldenEye.
Yeah.
Dun 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 dun.
Yeah.
There's a lot of funny memes
Yeah.
about that pause screen music though. Like why did they put so much like effort into this pause screen music? Like they knocked that out of the park.
Yeah. I mean, they just went the extra mile back in the N64 days, you know?
Okay, last topic on over under, and we usually save the most important, the most controversial for last. So overrated or underrated Pizza Hut?
Ooh. Shit.
Nobody out pizzas the Hut.
Maybe underrated. I mean, I feel like Pizza Hut's not necessarily underrated, but I like it. Like if I'm gonna go and get like crappy pizza and just like, you know, I want that kind of just like make my gut into a ball of iron, just do it. Like that's kind of the pizza I'll go for. And I worked at Pizza Hut for a number of years. I drove delivery for them. I met a lot of my like good friends that kind of ended up being good buddies with for a long time, doing a lot of partying with in my 20s and that whole like era of my life through Pizza Hut. So I gotta give Pizza Hut props.
Tommy, are you a Pizza Hut fan?
Pizza Hut would be very high on my list if you said we got to order.
Right.
Yeah, if we got to order some chain pizza, Pizza Hut is in the top 3 for me for sure.
Are you guys stuffed crust fans from Pizza Hut? I think they kind of pioneered that.
Like one piece.
Yeah, I was gonna say the same
I
thing.
feel like stuffed crust is one of those things. It's like that sounds like such a good idea, and then you get one and you're like, man, that cheese string is solid again. Like it was melty and gooey and stringy, and now that's just a little brick of cheese in there.
And my tin hat theory on stuffed crust, or maybe any like over the top variation, is they find a way to make the rest of the pizza worse. I don't know how they're doing it or what they do, but they're like, we're going to put the money in the crust. So we're going to cut the corners on the actual pizza. I'm like, that's like 90% of what I'm buying here is the pizza. And you like make that part worse.
Cause I mean, so with the stuffed crust, you have to hand toss the dough, right? Most of the pan pizzas, they rise in the pan. So the crust is always consistent. It's always about the same size, shape, whatever. But with the stuffed crust, you get like a ball of dough if you're working in the back room. At least this is how it used to be. Maybe it's different now. But you had to like knead it and press it and you know, work it out and then have enough extra dough at the end so you could roll it around the crust and pinch it around the cheese strings that you would put in it. So I think what happened was like the inside of the pizza would just end up getting really thin, and then any amount of toppings on there, and it's just soggy as hell.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's why I knew it's not a tin hat theory. It's real. Yeah. Here's a really good Pizza Hut question for you. In Canada, growing up as a kid, prior to you working there younger, did you guys have the buttons that had like little stars you got on them, and it was based on reading through school. And like if you read enough, you eventually got a free personal pan pizza.
Oh yes, we did have those. We did. Yeah. Okay. That was a wild time.
Yeah,
pizza parties.
Book it. Yes, the Pizza Hut Book It program. That's what it was. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, here's another pizza.
I seem to remember something.
Here's another Pizza Hut question for you. In Canada, did you ever have the white sauce for breadsticks?
White sauce for breadsticks. I don't know.
Tanner, did you ever have the white sauce?
I don't think I've ever had that. I thought Pizza Hut breadsticks are underrated. First of all, Pizza Hut breadsticks are underrated. I would just throw that out. But I feel like I've only had the red sauce.
See, the pizza where I grew up, the pizza out there had the white sauce, and that seems to be like one of the only Pizza Huts in the world that had white sauce. Creamy.
I don't know what they were putting in your white sauce. There, but,
Pizza Hut creamy garlic sauce. I've almost never encountered it anywhere else.
Huh. I would try it. But the breadsticks themselves are legit. I would say that.
We used to have this thing, and this was one of like the last Pizza Huts to ever have this. Like they would do a lunch buffet, and you could come in and just like, it's all you can eat pizza. And it was amazing. But one of the things that they would do is they had these dessert pizzas. So they would take a pizza crust and put just like a can of like pie filling and just like slop that on there, and then take like a little bit of graham cracker cinnamon mixture stuff and sprinkle it on top and then bake that. And they were dessert pizzas, drizzle a little bit of icing on it. I think there were apple and cherry flavors, and it was a thing that kids would eat, and I consume my fair share of them. Yeah.
Speaking of Pizza Hut and content creation, I think that there should be a dedicated Instagram account that's just it lists the location, the country, state, town, and then it's what is your old Pizza Hut now? And it's all these buildings that have these red roofs of that shape, and it's like, what is that building now? Because like none of them are Pizza Huts anymore, and you see them all over the place, and you're like, oh yeah, that was a Pizza Hut. I
almost want to go back and see now. I gotta check that next time I'm back in Saskatchewan.
Yeah,
there's a couple Pizza Hut locations I gotta check up on now.
Okay, there you passed overrated, underrated, so great news there.
Okay,
congrats.
100%.
Yeah, it's more of a pass fail. It's like if you don't pass, then we don't air the episode. So
okay, shoot. Well, I'm glad I passed.
Yeah, so that's important. And then there was one question we didn't hit on before that, as I thought about it, we really should. You've got a lot. You're a man with a lot of tattoos. Mm-hmm. Tommy pulled one up. I think it's on the side of your head. It's probably covered by hair, so you can't show it off right now. It's the scorpion and the frog.
Yeah.
And we talked about that, and I said, I think I know the story of the scorpion and the frog, and I kind of have a tendency to tell really shitty stories, and I don't really know the details. I mean, I don't know why you have it and your personal significance or anything like that, but there's a story behind the scorpion riding the frog, and I explained it. So could you tell us what the scorpion and the frog is?
Sure. So basically there were a scorpion and a frog on a riverbank, and they were hanging out, and they both, just, for whatever reason, needed to get to the other side. I think things were flooding or something, and the other side had high ground or something like that. I don't know. But anyways, the scorpion is like, well, bro, I can't swim. Like, you want to give me a lift? You get me across the other side? And the frog says, like, hell no. You're a scorpion, dude. You're going to sting me. I'm going to die. You're going to kill me. And Scorpion's like, well, no, I'm not going to sting you, because if I did, I would either have no way to get to the other side, or like I would drown. I'm not going to take myself out. Come on. Give me a lift. So the frog like reluctantly agrees, and the scorpion climbs onto its back, and they swim out they get maybe halfway across the river, and the scorpion stings the frog, and they both drown and die. That's the story.
Tommy, how did I do?
You told it. Bryce used a little more colorful language. You gave a little more straight to the facts for me, Tanner, but you did play it exactly. So then my question was, what is the moral of that story? What am I supposed to take from that?
I think to me, Bryce, you can weigh in yours. And as you're saying it out loud, I'm thinking of the moral to me, because that's the question to me. What is if this is a proverb or whatever, and you probably have an opinion on this, and I'm thinking the moral is he's a freaking scorpion, man. Like, you can't take the scorpion out of the scorpion. Like, that's what I think is, like, the scorpion, no matter if he says he's not going to sting you, the scorpion is going to, even if he's going to die, he can't not be a scorpion.
So is that what it is? There's just some people you can never trust? Is that?
So that's part of it. Like the classical sort of interpretation of it is basically that like evil people will do evil even to their own detriment or destruction, right? Like that's just their human nature, and like you can't take that out of them. And to me, it was more about like each person kind of having their own intrinsic nature. Now, not necessarily evil, but there are things about yourself and tendencies and things that you find easier and more challenging depending on the ways that you interact with the world. And the more that you can start to understand and see these tendencies and get out ahead of your own tendencies and try to like instead of thinking like, oh, I'm going to change these things about myself, sort of accepting that like I struggle with these things, so if therefore I can circumvent them or try to plan ahead so that they don't hold me back, or so that it's easier for me to do the things that are more challenging because of work I've done in the past, or however you want to line that up. That to me was like kind of a big aha moment for me, and led to my own sort of personal connection with the story, just kind of starting to understand the way my own brain worked, and that I should just make like 3 or 4 calendar reminders, and if anybody tells me anything that I need to remember, I need to write it down, and that kind of stuff. So just understanding that instead of being like, oh, well, I'm going to try to change these things, like I'm going to do better next time. It's like, well, might be something there that is going to make that a little hard for you. So maybe just try to get out ahead of that and understand that like this is kind of your nature. So the way that you do better isn't by changing the nature, it's by understanding that nature and trying to work with it.
Deep, actually, heavy thoughts on the Massenomics podcast. Yes. Heavy thoughts. Yeah.
Sorry.
No, that's what I was here. That's what I wanted to hear, though. That's good. And that's just a recurring segment. Sometimes if we occasionally talk about something serious, we call it heavy thoughts. It's a bit of a pun.
Oh, okay. Okay. I like that. I like that. I didn't know that was intentional. But,
no, that's really good.
You just do the podcast long enough, you have a segment for everything, so it works.
I mean, it makes sense, right? Yeah. You come up with a good formula and you hit the hits.
Yeah. No, this was awesome. We were really stoked to get you on. I think people will really enjoy this. Where should anybody find anything? I know you guys coaching, merchandise. What should people be checking out? I like as we said, I like the Instagram content, and I like some of the long form YouTube stuff too. I still enjoy that. So.
Yeah. So, I mean, if anybody wants to find out more about me or Calgary Barbell, calgarybarbell.com is the place that's kind of the hub for all that stuff. We are Calgary Barbell on Instagram. If you want to follow my own sort of personal lifting journey and that kind of stuff, I'm Bryce_CBB. And if I were to sort of shout out anything shameless plug style, I would say check out our Calgary Barbell training app. And again, all that stuff's on calgarybarbell.com.
You've had the app for a while too. That's it. How long have you had the app going?
We just had our 2 dang years anniversary. As I'm sure you were beat over the head with marketing materials for over the last couple of weeks here.
That was good though. I like that. That's how you market it though. That was fun marketing of and still selling something along the way.
I hope so. Yeah. I mean, we have the app, and it comes with, you can upload your programs to your calendar and all that kind of stuff. But I think the thing that maybe makes me feel really good about it and hope that people get a lot out of is that we have this sort of Discord community that goes with it, and myself and one of our other coaches go in there and we do form checks and we help people modify the programs, and we work around people's like equipment restrictions or injuries or whatever. So it is more like a coaching light than just like a here's your app, thanks for the money. So yeah, I don't know, I'm pretty proud of that and think that it's a good thing. So
but still thanks for the money.
I mean, yeah, it's not. We never complain. But.
Okay. Oh no, that's awesome. Thanks, Bryce. I think this is really cool.
Sure. Thanks for having me.
Thanks, Bryce.
Sorry.
No,
should I hang up now, or are you gonna like?
We're gonna boot you out. I was just trying to act frozen.
I always forget. I always want to go to the end button, and it says end meeting for all, and I gotta go. No, don't end it for all. Yeah. I have to do that every time. I just can never remember. It's like, nope, boot them just like I boot everyone else.
That is the one, this format that we do now. And for anyone listening audio only, we had Bryce on video again, and we should have that. Last week we published that YouTube video with Jordan as one of our first ones trying that. This should be this way again. And I like the interview experience like that. I think that's good, isn't it?
It is, yeah. It's fun actually getting to see the person after all this time.
The one thing that's maybe worse is the start and stop of it, because it's just slightly different.
I guess you could say the other one will, I mean, technically it takes almost the same amount of time as starting. Like the other one, you have to let it ring.
Right.
And half the time people wouldn't answer. Then we do like starting.
It's probably literally just for me and us when I think about that.
And it's
because the other people, they're hearing the ring, and the ring to me just isn't an uncomfortable feeling. That's just what you know.
Yeah.
But that, like, they're not that it's extremely uncomfortable. But sometimes it feels like there's this, like, we've talked about it before. I don't need to explain it again, but
yeah, no, for me, the startup is whatever. You just assume there's just a few hurdles between turning on video, getting sound ready, hitting record. It's the end when it's like, no, don't end it for all. Like I always see the end button. I click it and I'm hovering over the other red one, like just about ready to click. And then I got to pump the brakes and say, no. And then think about it. Oh man, what the hell am I doing? Oh God, this is taking seconds. This is so awkward now.
Yes. Oh, that was great though. What a fun guy. You know, like you said, we've done this for 372 episodes, and you think at some point in time there's nobody, you know, new that we haven't already had on that's going to be fun and interesting, and then every time it's like, that was one of the funnest ones ever. You know, just like
372 episodes. We've probably had 150, 200 interviews. I mean, that's everyone in the entire world of powerlifting, right?
You think so? And then it's like, well, how have we not had Bryce on yet?
And now we did.
Yeah, now we did it. Did you give him his cool beans?
Cool beans. Cool beans.
I guess that means we're just getting that much closer to the end of the list, right?
Yeah, that's true. I don't know though. There's just always more. It's just lining them up and getting them going. I've got a few things we wanted to talk about here. I do have a really good get off my lawn story.
Yeah.
I would also note, not on the list, but do you know what I had for supper tonight?
No.
I had Zoo Bar wings.
Did you?
So shout out to one of the sponsors. Oh, good. My wife was there for a book club, and she brought them back. They're 25-cent wings.
Damn, that's really cheap.
Yeah, except for then I found out the caveat is not for to-go orders.
Oh. So
how'd
you get around that? Oh, you just don't pay more. Okay.
Yeah.
I was going to say they just wouldn't let you order the wings.
They just will not give you the deal. And then I'm like, well, at least you got the deal, right? And she's like, well, I got boneless wings. And I'm like, they don't count then.
Yeah,
and she's like, no. And I'm like, so are you telling me none of us got any deal? And she's like, there was no deals. And I'm like, damn it.
We paid extra.
I'm like, I like a deal. Tell me we got to make it up.
Just the thought
Let me
of
believe
having
there
the
was
deal
a deal
is what makes you feel good.
The Zubar wings, though, this is relevant information for anyone coming for the Lift Hard, Live Easy Classic, because that will be the official after party spot. The Zubar wings were good. They were good wings. They were solid. They were meaty. Coincidentally, they gave me a 2/3 flat to 1/3 drummy ratio, which is my preferred ratio.
Yeah.
So props on that. You know, I suppose that's a little coincidental, but
but was it really though? They probably knew something.
They probably know. Oh, be like, is this for the powerlifting meet guys?
Is there a chance we're going to get reviewed on a podcast tonight? Better make sure the ratio's right here, guys.
A few extra flats in there. That was that. So then I have taco news and a get off my lawn story. Which of those interests you more, taco news or a get off?
I want all of
story?
them. I want all of them. Hit me with them.
Okay. So just today, this happened to me. I had a get off my lawn story. I got yelled at today.
You got yelled at.
I got yelled at.
Oh, I thought maybe you were going to be doing the yelling.
No. I got yelled at by a much older man than me.
Wow.
So let me set the stage for you. This
so
will make
like
a
real
sense.
Masters then.
Masters, like Masters 6 class, whatever. Whatever if you're in your 70s and senile. So I'll paint the picture. You'll get this very well. But Big Zach from the gym and also from the Discord, he had sent me a news article today from Hub City Radio saying that Railroad Avenue was going to be closed from Klein to that street to the west by like the courthouse, you know, that next street west, because they're planned sewer
Okay.
maintenance. So I'm like, well, that's the entire frontage of the gym and like the street from both sides. I'm like, and he sent me that at maybe like 11 and I was going there at noon. So I'm like, well, I'll have to investigate how we even get to, because I assume some other people are going to be wanting to get to the gym. So I came from the east. You know, I came by the old YMCA where it all started for us.
Yep.
Came by from the east. And I get to Klein and Railroad, and it's completely blocked. I mean, the street is torn to shit. Like, it's not a thing like where you're going to sneak by. There's like 4 excavators there, and it's like a enormous production.
Larry's got his shirt
like
off, debris everywhere.
That's why I was like, is Larry here? I don't think he was, that I could see.
Well, that was their first problem right there.
That's their first problem. So next to just to the north of the gym building, next to the railroad tracks, over the course of the years, I've taken this a couple times for things.
Well, it's just a gravel. I mean,
there's a gravel thing, and I'm
lot.
like, oh, I can just take that. I mean, my thing was like, yeah, I'll just take the gravel thing and pull in the back of the parking lot. Wouldn't you think about that? Like, I mean, that would be
yeah. I mean, I've seen vehicles do it all the time. I mean, the railroad owns half of the like right of way there, anyways.
Right.
And then it's just
and
an
it is
abandoned
gravel.
lot.
It's like a gravel track. I mean, I think there might be a case that the railroad might say they don't want people driving there.
Yeah.
I also think maybe under the circumstance, if
yeah,
there's not a train there, they might say
outside the norm of regular life here.
Right. So I paid no thought of it. I was like, I couldn't even see to the west, like what this case was like.
So you went north back up over the tracks and came around. Is that what you did?
Well, I didn't have to go cross the tracks. I just went north to the tracks right before the tracks, just like half a block north.
Okay, yep.
And then I turned west
just
before the tracks, and then I pulled right in to the parking lot. So just to paint this picture very specifically, because it's important, there's the railroad tracks. Right adjacent to it, running perfectly parallel, is the gravel. I'll say it's a road. It's not really a road, but maybe it's kind of a service road.
But it is. I mean, the railroad uses it for their vehicles.
They use it. Yeah. Yes, they use it, and you see people going back and forth there a lot. And then there's a 15-foot wide strip of grass.
And saying grass is being pretty generous too.
That is an important part. It is sandy gravel
with pieces of grass poking through.
And this is like one of the most industrial areas of town. Like there's no housing here. This is like,
well, you would also think if someone
it's along the railroad tracks.
Yeah.
They're all old and commercial railroad buildings.
If you came to town, you would think these buildings were abandoned for sure.
Yes. So there's that 15-foot strip of grass, and then there's our parking lot for the gym. There's just a slight hit. It's maybe like 3 foot up a little tiny bank to get into the parking lot.
That might be the most, yeah.
So in theory, the route was I had to travel the gravel for a block, make a left-hand turn, cross over this sandy grass, and pull in our parking lot. Because, and I'm doing this because the road is completely blocked off. And from what I can tell, what I've read that the road's going to be completely closed for that full block. It sure looks like it's completely closed because there's all this heavy machinery, and it's from the east. It's completely blocked up. So there was no thought process in my head. This was just by default what I was going to do to get to the gym. And it's like, obviously this is what I'm, of course. Yeah. I mean, is that what you would feel like or not?
I don't think that any of that sounds unreasonable at all.
No. So I do that. And the second I hit the parking lot, I just crossed over the grass. The old man there that owns those buildings pulled up in his vehicle, met me head on. So he pulled up next to my window. I had my window down. It's been really nice out. He had his window down and just flung a slew of obscenities at me, like an unhinged, deranged, like F-bomb this, F-bomb that, about because I drove over that patch of grass.
Because of the grass. That was the
because
thing?
of the grass.
Wow.
He's like, you can't, I'll save the tone, like it was screaming, and I'll save the F-bombs, but the message was, you can't drive there, you can't drive on that grass, what are you doing, you dumbass, it would be as severe of a yell, like someone that's got a vein sticking out of the forehead, like about ready to pass over and die because they're so angry. Wow. Like the angriest you could ever picture someone being. And I was so caught off guard of like, what is going on? What is happening? And I just, I said, I was very caught off guard, but I was also polite. And I just said, I apologize. I I guess I just did it because of the road construction. I thought this was like, I didn't, not intentionally trying to ruin your life by driving across that grass. It just seemed like the obvious thing to do. And it wasn't even that long, because before I said, yeah, I'm sorry. This is why I did it, because the road construction, I feel like that was obvious, but maybe it needed to be said that the road is completely blocked off. So this is how I was going to get in here. And before I could say the second thing, he sped away from, tore away from me.
Yeah.
So then
hit him and run before you can.
So then I parked, and I was like, just a little baffled, or, just like, I wasn't worked up about it at all. First of all, I was like, geez, that's like wild behavior. Are you mentally all there? Right. So then I parked, and he actually had parked also. And then he was walking by right where I had parked when I got out, and he had just started to walk by. I was getting out, and I'm like, I'm just going to go apologize again, because maybe he in this
had a bad day.
Yeah. Right. And it is his property. I'm not arguing his right to tell me not to drive across his grass. I think it's
there's
not
a certain
big deal,
level where, especially in this day and age, does everyone have to be an asshole to everyone all the time?
I'm like, I never talk to anyone like that ever. I never talk to anyone even in half that. I never yell at, I never talk to people like that.
And also, I've been paying you rent for how many years? I've never asked for a thing. You've made how much money from me to not even know I exist?
Exactly. And I'm like, I'm not positive if he knows
who you are.
Specifically, I think he might, but I don't even know.
Right.
And maybe he figured it out later or something, but I don't know that he knows that. I'm not confident he knows that.
I'm very curious to know what happens, but I got to say, I'm already shocked you're going back for the second apology. I
was just like, I just don't, I've matured enough. I think that I'm just like, I just don't like having ill will towards anyone about anything.
Killing them with
possible.
Kindness, because now they're what?
That's my strategy.
You're apologizing to me, apologizing again. What's going on here?
Right, and I'm just like, I don't know. Maybe he just is having a horrible day, and maybe 10 people did that right before me, and he's just like, his dog died, and who knows? There could be a whole bunch of stuff that led up to that second. I'm just like, I bet it's been a couple minutes, and I'll just go apologize and tell him. I really wasn't trying to do anything wrong. I certainly won't do it again. And I started to say that stuff, and the F-bombs and the yelling started immediately again.
No.
And I'm like, what in the world? And then he stormed away on foot this time.
See, now and this I'm is like, when, that is not. This is when you got to go back a third time now at this point. now it's his problem. It's not your problem.
No, he stormed away into a building, and I was just like, my mouth may have been visibly open aghast, just not offended in any way. I think something about being in the Army and stuff like that. I've had a fair share of ass chewings before. An ass chewing doesn't get me maybe a 16-year-old girl. It would have been an ass chewing that would make him cry, or a younger kid, they would have been in tears because of. Even some grown adults honestly would have been have tears in their eyes about that. But I do feel like it's one skill I have that I'm a little unfazed, especially when I feel like I'm not I don't know, even in any situations. I've actually done stuff wrong before when I know I'm doing it wrong, and I get an ass chewing, and at that point I'm like, well, I have this coming,
those ones I'm always like, I'll come by that honestly. Yeah, I fucked up, man. That's my bad.
This one I feel like is way, way out of line, but it still wasn't. I was not upset or angry about it. I was just kind of like, boy, God, even a second time trying to diffuse this and stuff, and it's like the same thing happened.
I so wish you could have got a third time in that way, because at that point, how angry he's got to be that you've apologizing 3 times. He's like, no, I'm trying to murder you, and you're being nice. This is backfiring.
I just couldn't believe it. I had to later call my wife and be like, you wouldn't believe the story I have to tell you, But then I wondered too, a thought I had later. I'm like, is Midwest kindness a real thing? I think maybe I'm used to what I consider Midwest kindness. If you live in, say, the Northeast, is that type of behavior any more typical or not? Or is that still completely irrational? Or in the, the meme I have inside my head would be two New Yorkers and be like, F you. And he yells back, F you. And then they park their,
yeah. And then they're just like, yeah, screw you, buddy. And then they just go along.
Because that doesn't happen.
But that's the whole stereotype is that, don't they say, in the New York, they'll tell you, F you to your face. And then they'll say you go to California and people say it behind your back. Because that's how they do it there. No one wants to. And then like in the Midwest, it's like, no, people just always want to put on the smile no matter what and just be accommodating. But maybe that's how some people are still, is that they want to be abrasive, but don't mean to be as abrasive as what they actually are, maybe.
Well, that's why I wondered if I'm so desensitized to, or if I'm so sensitive to like irrational yelling behavior that like it just like catches me way out of left field, or, you know what I mean? Like if you're just so used to Midwest kindness that when someone's not like that, you're like, whoa.
Well, especially when we both work in like more of an office environment. You can't do that in an office environment. You would be, corporate.
Anything. If I did 10% of that, I'd be fired.
Yeah.
I would have to have great cause. 10%. No, if I did 50% of that, I'd be fired.
Yeah. And I get it. I mean, it's annoying that people have to be that way, but it's a little different when you work in a field where, it's we're the guys and we talk shit all day and we're rough and like, you don't bring that attitude into an office where like there's customers coming in and I mean, it's just a different world. Like people do not, you like bring that attitude in, like it just doesn't work in corporate America at all.
No, not like that. And then I like, if that's me, Aberdeen's a small town.
Oh
and
my
if you're
God,
a business owner in a small town, you can't.
Your
talk
reputation
to people
would be
like
destroyed.
That.
So people would just be done with you.
I'm glad I didn't do this, and I wasn't thinking about it at the time. If I would have, everyone has a camera in their pocket. If I would have taken this, you see this all the time. People posting stuff like this.
Whip out the camera. Post
if I would have whipped out the camera and gone up for that second apology, it would have been the most damning video. Like outside of like a video showing like racism and sexual assault and stuff like that, you would watch that and be like, "Wow, I am not." It would just be a really, really horrible image for somebody.
Yeah.
I'm like, but that's where I think somebody that's that old doesn't think, they like almost think maybe like those rules don't apply to them anymore, maybe, or something like that.
From a different time, they get to live life by their own rules, apparently.
Right. Yeah.
Just old and own businesses. You can do whatever you want.
And it wasn't until like an hour later that I'm like, wait a second. This was an old man yelling at me to get off of his lawn.
Yeah.
Like this is actually the get off my lawn.
And not even a residential lawn that is adjacent to a busted up parking lot and gravel road.
And right next to the railroad tracks.
Yeah. Like you can't see, like the public can't see that road. The only people that grass. The only people that could ever see the grass are the people that pull into that parking lot. And
it's where we used to do our strong, like flipping tire. I mean, it's like, it's like, was half gravel. It's like pea gravel with weeds growing through it. And if that was someone's yard, I wouldn't have done that. Like there's like levels of sense to this that I'm like, if that was someone's yard, I wasn't going to just whip through there. Also, I wasn't whipping. I was going like 2 miles an hour.
There was no whipping shitties going on.
Right. There was no shitty whipping. I was driving very appropriate for the situation.
Yeah. Boy. They feel that strongly about the grass. Wait till they hear about the condition of the flooding in the spring in the basement down there, right?
Well, that's makes me all these thoughts circle. I'm like, last year our building flooded and I barely even mentioned it. I mean, I did.
And you put in like tens of hours of work to fix it.
And I asked for nothing.
Yep.
That's I wouldn't say I had a bee in my bonnet because I wasn't upset, but I'm just like. The thought keeps running through my head of like, man, there's people out there that's how they treat people.
Yeah, they just run through they run through life with just this negative energy, this negative cloud over them, and then they're pissed when things don't go right. It's like, dude, you're bringing this to everything. You are the reason it's like this.
Could you imagine ever in your life? Have you ever like chewed someone's ass like that?
No,
on anything?
I just honestly don't care about anything enough in life to. I mean, outside of like messing directly with my family, I don't care about anything enough to like feel that way about things.
If
I don't know what that says either, but
yeah, I don't know if someone drove into my yard and literally whipped a shitty in the middle of my backyard and maybe put my kids in danger.
Yeah,
I'm going to be
be
really upset about that. But I'm still not even going to go yelling up to them like,
oh, if I
hey,
was
F
like,
you, F you, F you.
yeah, and if I was like at your house and a car drove through the backyard, I'd be like, what the hell is going on? I'd almost be like, I got to get to the bottom of what's going on here. Like it'd be almost be more curiosity than angry.
Yeah, and I guess I'm comparing things that aren't a fair comparison because that is that is a crazy act. Like
I mean, that makes no sense. There's no way to get back there even unless you're driving through 12 lawns,
Right. Yeah.
But it's like, take any industrial park area you could, an industrial warehouse park area that has grass that hasn't been kept up with, and imagine a vehicle on it, and people be like, oh, yeah, what?
I'm quite sure I've seen other vehicles driving in there.
I mean, they drive their vehicles back there all the time.
When I did come out of the gym after my lift, there was barriers put up there too. So I'm like,
oh, of course.
I was glad that there was barriers though, because I'm like, I don't know how to get this. My concern is I can handle it. I'm a big boy, like someone can yell at me and I'm like, okay.
But there's some younger guys, some girls.
Right.
You came after some of the girls that go to the gym like that. God. My wife would be like calling the police.
That's what I was going to say. Someone might call the police, actually. It'd be, what are the police going to do? They're going to be like, yeah, don't yell at people, But some people would call the police over it, actually.
Well, then he's going to be mad because he got the police called on him, and then it's making a whole problem at the gym. So, it is.
Right. Yeah. And then, but that was just my thought. I'm like, I don't want other people, or I'm even like, there's other businesses, like there's a hair salon there. Mm-hmm. One of their customers could do that because I'm still like, that wasn't a wild thought to do that, to go that route that I did. It did turn out, to be fair, to the west, the other way. You could have went around the long way and come in from the west. The road was blocked off, but to the west, it wasn't blocked off with all this equipment. You could go around the barriers to go that way. But even then, I'm like, so then you're going around barriers, road closed barriers to get there. Is that the better method than... You know what I mean?
Yeah. It's without a doubt an overreaction.
Yeah.
It's like, could you be upset? Someone could be upset about it, but again, it goes back to that's not how you treat people. And that's not even being like I want to be treated nice. It's just like, have some common sense. Like that's not how you act when someone drove on your shitty gravelly grass.
No, I don't need to linger on it any longer, but I just thought there's a lot of important takeaways from human behavior on that.
Yeah, there are.
You know what reminds me of that ties us back to the Massenomics podcast and lifting? Remember when we were
at the Arnold when the guy yelled at you?
Yeah, what was that now?
I thought about this the other day, and I don't know why. We were watching, I don't know if it was the XPC or whoever had the
it wasn't like Blaine Sumner's bench.
Yeah, it was like way on that rogue stage, way to the side at the Arnold. Way
maybe like 2018 Arnold or something.
It was like one of the first or second ones we went to.
Yeah.
And it was, I don't know, there's a couple hundred chairs there. We're standing way in the back, away from everyone.
Like
we're standing
15
there.
feet from the nearest chair.
Yeah, we are in the back. Like there's no, if you can't see, it's because
we're in like
you're
the
just
side back. We're almost like in the side. Like
we weren't even. You could almost say we weren't even watching it. We were so far away.
Right.
And we were standing there, and some guy behind you goes, "Get the fuck out of the way."
Like to me, right? Wasn't it?
To you. Yeah. And I think you go, well, yeah, maybe if you ask politely. And then the guy was like, "Oh, I'm sorry. Can you move?"
I'm like, why is you? It was like such the weirdest place that someone had a chair where he.
Yeah. First of all, that is like you're watching a powerlifting meet from like 100 feet away when there's
and you could have been 60 feet closer.
Yeah, there's nothing but space between you and open space to go watch it. And the guy got so mad that you stood there, and then the way you diffused it as like telling him to be polite, and then all of a sudden he had to take a step back, and then I think he was polite then.
Right, I think he was too. But that is kind of a similar situation where my action is like, just don't yell at me. Like, what are you yelling about?
It's like, trust me, I don't really care where I'm standing either. I have no problem moving, but just ask like a person.
Yes, that is actually a really good comparison to the grass, where it's like, I have no problem not driving on the grass. If, turns out it's a problem, like I would gladly avoid doing this problem again. But you don't have to drop F-bombs in the process.
It's like things happen all the time in society. There's people that exist in society, and a lot of times those people aren't where you want them to be. A lot of times they'll just move if you just ask them like, "Hey, I'm trying to get by here. I'm trying to see this." Most people don't care, but you don't got to go straight to like wanting to kill someone right off the bat.
we live in a society that has rules of thumb, that the society moves along much more fluidly if people follow those just a few very basic strategies.
And nowadays, you know, I just be careful about who I unload on like that with the way people will use anything to say that they feel threatened now. And that's an excuse to do whatever they want. And you just can't trust it. That
is actually another good point. That's what I told my wife. I'm like, there's a percentage of the population that if they someone would have done to them that, they definitely have a gun and they may consider of pulling it out in that scenario.
Yeah. And that's
especially in rural,
however you feel
America.
about guns, that is the thing that happened. Like it happens all the time. I felt threatened or I didn't like the way that person talked to me. I shot them. Doesn't mean who I don't know who in that situation was right or wrong, but someone is dead now or severely injured because someone felt unsafe verbally.
There's that. And there's also there's bad people out there that, like don't want to be talked to that way.
Yeah, if you are going to come at someone that way, someone's going to bring it right back to you.
That's what I'm like. There's people that would punch someone for talking to them like that. I've definitely been friends with people in my past that, like in their 20s, if you would have talked to them like that and it was at the wrong time, they're throwing fists like instantly, and probably doesn't matter how old the age difference or anything like that. There's some people that just like don't respond to that any way other than violence in return.
No, there are some people they just like see red.
Violence.
They do. Yeah. They see red the second that happens, and it's like they lose control of their body. They go to like caveman mode.
That's like they do things that they probably regret. But that
I don't even know if they know what they're doing in the moment. You know, it's just they lose it.
And that's that was a point that I made too. I'm like, I would not. I personally wouldn't. You know, I'm a big guy. That doesn't matter against a gun.
No, it doesn't matter. If someone, you say the wrong thing to someone and they have a gun or a knife, it doesn't matter if you also have a gun and a knife. If they make the first move and you're not expecting it, you're done. Like, what does it matter? That's why you just can't even have that. Can't even have that attitude anymore.
That was something that I thought about too, that I'm like, I'd be careful who I spoke to like that, because there's people that
you're like, after that got done, you're like, I'm going to be really careful who I apologize to twice from now on, because
ain't that the truth? Slightly more lighthearted, although that wasn't heavy-hearted probably, but just a
observation of the human condition.
Yeah, a good sociology experiment. I don't know if that's considered more. I suppose that's more sociology than psychology, because it's the interaction of people, right?
Well, I mean, there's probably some psychological things going on in that other head, but
that's true. Now for what we've really been waiting for all episode. Taco news. And you may have seen this already, but I still just wanted to review this taco news. Very interesting and relevant.
This is very interesting, actually. I was surprised by this.
Yeah. Title: Taco Bell appeals to U.S. regulators in bid to liberate Taco Tuesday for all. The restaurant chain Taco Bell filed a petition on Tuesday to end the chain Taco John's trademark of the phrase Taco Tuesday, arguing that it should be available to all who sell tacos. Taco Bell said in a release that the trademark, which has been in place since 1989,
I couldn't believe
John's, has put companies at risk of legal action if they want to use the phrase. So they probably threatened to, if they haven't, they have the ability to threaten to. It said the chain is not seeking any damages for the trademark rights, but wants common sense for usage of a common term. Taco Bell believes Taco Tuesday should belong to all who make, sell, eat, and celebrate tacos, etc., etc.
I mean, I see both sides of this. That's
what I wanted to think. What you're at is this is obviously funny as hell.
I mean, this goes on to show though how just broken and busted and idiotic the U.S. patent and copyright
intellectual
system
property.
It's so.
And
I mean, okay, Taco Tuesday. Like, I get it. They were maybe the first ones to, 1989. I'd like to think maybe someone said the words Taco Tuesday together before 1989, but Taco John's were the first ones to.
They were the ones that said
file the paperwork.
Do the legal work
to
have
make
that
this
ours.
Two incredibly generic words. I mean, according to the letter of the law, it appears that Taco John's has every right. So, like, they're doing the right thing here. Taco Bell.
Who would think you should be able to trademark just a small phrase like that of just a couple words, and then
here's another one. But this is where it's so dumb. But here's another one where it's so dumb. I saw this not that long ago. Chipotle. There was another restaurant that was selling, because Chipotle is a type of flavor, you know.
Sure.
There was another restaurant
yeah,
that was selling a Chipotle chicken burrito bowl, which could totally be used to describe
absolutely.
Chipotle sued them because that is too similar to their menu item. I'm like, oh, okay, yeah. So you just like own anything with the word Chipotle in front of it now, like
where Chipotle existed long before the restaurant franchise Chipotle came around. You know,
exactly.
And
so now you just get to like own phrases of that common word used in things like. That's kind of starts to break the English language at a certain point when private companies can just own huge swaths of how these words work in there. So it is really annoying. Taco John's, I have a spot for them in the Midwest. You know, they got that whole thing going on. They're doing it right. But I mean, this does just go to show the greater problems of how our U.S. System works there.
Yeah. It's so silly, though, too.
It is. It's like absurd.
Lawyers are getting paid a bunch of money for this right now.
Oh,
multiple lawyers and
also Taco Bell just wants it for their own self-serving interests. You know, they're like, oh, that is the ultimate marketing phrase. We need that. They're not trying to liberate anyone. They don't care about anyone. They only care about themselves here. Because you know the second this wins, they're going to be running. You're going to see 10 million ads on TV for Taco Tuesday at Taco Bell.
And
that's the only reason they're doing it.
How they want to liberate it for everyone that makes, sells, eats, enjoys tacos. I'm like, yeah.
Yeah, and I'm sure Taco Bell has some surprisingly vague words copyrighted in their dictionary of Taco Bell slang, you know. So they're doing the same thing, but they have definitely their own self-serving interests in mind.
We should hit on supporting our supporting members. I forgot to do that earlier. Actually.
Yeah, I can't leave them out.
We're still doing it. We didn't forget. We're just doing it a little later. This is a segment of the podcast. We do it every week. It's a relatively new segment of the podcast, but we do it every week when we can. And it's where we have the supporting members that choose to monetarily support our podcast, which was awesome. We greatly appreciate that. It's humbling and sometimes so cool to think about all the people that have chosen to support this podcast in that way. Very awesome. We appreciate every one of you. Those people that choose to support get some things like access to our exclusive online Discord community. It's a very active community full of like-minded individuals. They also get things like discount code, early info on upcoming drops, maybe more say-so on what goes on here at Massenomics HQ. You know, they have their finger on the pulse more. You get things like your own podcast. They have the unpaid and underrated podcast. You could get in on that. And the chance of being supported every week through this segment. So this is a Garage Gym competition version of supporting our supporting members. You've seen that's going off now. So we've got a whole bunch of members that have been throwing their hat in there. So some of them I've got some numbers. Some of them it's just that they've been competing. Big Joey, one of the regular hosts of the Crew podcast, he competed. I saw that today. Big Carp, he got in on it. And I see there was like a deadlift party that Jonathan Oldham was at with Surplus Strength.
Oh,
Jonathan
really?
was there and some other people.
That.
And Big Carp was there. He got a picture with Jonathan, so that's cool. But Big Carp competed in the Garage Gym competition, and his numbers included a 425 deadlift PR and a 495 squat PR. So big 5-plate squat PR.
Yeah, that's a huge milestone.
Big Spoon got in on it. Didn't have his numbers. I think he did his programming wasn't in singles, you know, his higher reps, but he get on it. Big Dutch Matt, our big Dutch friend Matt, he got in on it. His numbers included a 408 squat PR.
Very nice.
Well done, Big Dutch Matt. And then our Crew agronomist, Big Nicholas Rolfe, he did it. His numbers included, get this, Jefferson Deadlift PR. He did his Deadlift Jefferson. He did 455.
I love it.
And I think he shortly thereafter went and planted a field of corn. At least that's what I'd like to think he did afterwards. And transitioning then into a quick agronomy update, which I haven't done for a year.
Yeah.
So it's
are things
planting's progressing nicely.
It actually is. I didn't know if it was too wet everywhere up there.
No, it's going. The wheels are turning. You know, it's wet-ish and stuff in places, and there might be some mud holes and stuff that don't get planted, but it's going. It's trucking along.
Because, you know, I was up there last weekend, and I was surprised at the amount of water I saw in ditches and fields around.
Yeah, there'll definitely be potholes of people, you know, planting around and stuff, but that the wheels of progress are still going, and it's been really nice. It was hot. Today was probably our hottest day of the year. It was like, I don't know what it got up to, but So if this was the first day that I go, damn, it's hot out, almost.
Yep.
Not in a bad way. I'm still enjoying it though. I don't know what's it been like there.
Amazing. Like all this week has been between 75 and like 80 and no wind. It's been so nice.
Yeah. I've been going on bike rides with my youngest daughter. Well, everyone pretty much like every night, and just so many nights that I'm like, what is going on? It is so nice out. It's just so nice out every day. So let's keep that rolling, huh?
Yeah, I hope so.
Okay. What do we got? Should we touch on some ads, or what do you think?
Let's do it.
Did you have another thing in here too?
Yeah, this is just a quick one. When we were eating out the other night and they had the Rogue Strongman on we were at a sports bar.
It was on TV.
It was on TV. And it's so funny watching it because I'm just watching it. I'm like, oh, Leah, yeah, that guy was on our podcast. That guy's actually one of our sponsored athletes. Yeah. That guy, he likes us a lot. We talk to him all the time. We've actually interviewed that guy. We've had a video with this guy, and I'm like, wow, that guy's bought stuff from us. Oh, here's a picture see those two guys together. Here's actually a picture with me and Tanner with both of those guys. Like, and I'm like, it's so crazy when you see them on TV and then just be like, we actually know all of them fairly well and have interacted with almost every single one of them.
Yeah, it's true. I mean, in the top level strongman,
because I've never really thought of it that way. But it's once you get removed from the event of it all going on, and you're just watching it at a bar on TV like any other sporting event, you really feel like I really know the ins and outs of that event right there.
We do get to. It's really fun and cool, and just like as someone that just enjoys the sport of it and stuff like that, it is fun, and I kind of even like at times what people's opinion are of each other, and like just not stuff you share, but just like knowing the inside baseball of it is fun. Just adds another element to it. And it is just like you start to know, like, oh, that guy's just a really good guy. Like, I want him to do well here just because I really like, he's really nice and friendly. I hope he does well.
And the number of times where I was also like, see that guy? You can't tell, but he's really big. Like, that guy's really big. Doesn't look like it there, but trust me, he's enormous.
Was Pavlo?
It was during the deadlifts, actually. It was when it was on. And Pablo went by, or Pablo was on at one point, and I'm like, I know you can't really tell right there, but trust me, that is one of the biggest people I've ever seen. And she's just like, okay, sure. Like, I don't think
it is indescribable how big
it is.
Someone like that guy is. Like, I don't know. You just like, I don't know. You have to see it. It's like Thor. You have to, until you stand next to him, you don't really know.
But even Pablo has still like a different build than.
Pablo is one of the biggest oddities I've ever seen.
Him like, and the other one that always just shocked me also for not being like, Brian, Shaw, and Thor, sure, they're big. Like, yes,
right.
That is
houses.
Like, it is insane how big they are. But Pablo, he's not like 6'7" like those guys, but he's bigger in a different way at the same time.
It's bigger in a different way.
And the other one always to me was Kilkowski. Like, he's also something about him. He looks so enormous in person. Yeah. And I don't even know how to describe it. We've met a lot of people that are some of the strongest in the world at powerlifting, and they look nothing like those guys. Still, it's just
another one is Terry Hollins. When you see him in person, you're just like, oh, dude, something's different about like the bones in your body.
I think we've always said it. Like the size of his feet and just the width of his wrist. It's odd how wide his wrist is, and you're like, I get it why you could be really, really strong. Like your bones in your arm are like twice as wide as mine.
Right. It's not like you have different parts than the rest of us. It looks like,
your skeleton weighs 3 times as much as mine. Yeah, this makes sense all of a sudden.
Oh, so true. That all reminds me of something. Make sure to check out Juggernaut AI. It is the training that Tommy and I both use. When you do check it out, please go to their website. It's juggernautai.app. That's where you're going to want to go get signed up because that's where you can use our discount code. It's Massenomics. Saves you 10% on the lifetime of your membership there. It ends up being about $30 a month, which is an awesome value for what you get out of the Juggernaut AI app. Some of it, you almost have to download it and check it out to experience some of that. So there is a free trial if you don't want to pay anything. There's no commitment. So if you sign up and just for a month, and you dropped it after that, you're not out but $30. So I would say, if you're curious at all, download it, check it out. You'll get a feel for it.
Do a little experimenting.
Yeah, do a little experimenting. Get a feel for the app. It makes it tough once you've used something like that to go back without it, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And check them out. Discount code Massenomics.
Dude, that actually reminds me of some commercial gym stories right now. It was shocking.
People have been really wanting commercial gym stories.
So this gym actually does have an outdoor turf area, which is kind of cool.
Oh, it's outdoor?
Yeah, outdoor. So it's been just now recently nice enough that people, and I don't really get what the rules are regarding like what you're allowed to. From what I can tell, it's a free for all. You can take anything outside, and I don't even know who's in charge of
choose your ass up and down for doing something that seemed like was allowed.
Rips you to pieces, yeah. But people take stuff. It seems like you can just take out whatever you want, and I don't even really know what the rules are on bringing it back in either. But
yeah, that's kind of the.
I was taking my dog for a walk last night, and I would have walked by the gym about 9:20 at night. And I got to say, I was absolutely shocked at the number of people in the gym at 9:20 at night. And all I can think of, because it looked like all young people, is that it's just like high schoolers. I don't know who else, unless your demands of life require you to lift at 9:20.
Right.
I don't know who chooses to lift at 9:20. Like, that's not ideal for almost anyone, right?
No. I don't think it. I mean, there's some people who have odd work hours or whatever, and you do what you got to do. But I think, it's probably younger people for a lot, or people on shift work. Maybe that's possible. But who's it in the Discord that is a member there? That's what I wondered, if it was Big Colton.
Yeah.
Doesn't he go at like that time?
Was it that late, or did he say he goes at like 6 or 7? I couldn't remember.
You're probably right. I don't think it was that late. Yeah.
Yeah. Cause I mean, it was almost 9:30, and I've never had like an actual workout 9:30 at night, like still getting after it. Which was kind of shocking to me to see. I don't know.
That's
20
pretty late
plus
to be
people
shutting
in there.
It down after that.
Oh God. I've never seen it that busy during the day. You know, by that point it is dark in here. So like the gym is lit up and there's big windows. You can see all these people in there. Like, I've never seen it look like that during the day, but at 9:20 at night, it was just popping.
Well, when we podcast like this, we're at 11 o'clock at night. This is a long one and stuff, but it's late. This is past my normal bedtime. Do you fall asleep immediately, or does it take you any wind down period after this?
What I do, because on Wednesdays, what's weird is, so I get done working and then it's straight to kid time. Yep. Because we're going to start podcasting, getting into podcast mode about 7:30. So it's really only about 2.5 hours. So I basically get, unless I quit working early and get caught up on some phone, social media stuff, I'm behind on that. So like, as of right now, I basically haven't looked at Instagram since like noon today. Yeah. So I'm behind on Instagram. When we record, I turn off email too. So there's going to be some emails that come in. I'm going to be behind on the Discord. And then I'm like, I'll have some fun time on Reddit or something. So I fall into this trap where a lot of times we get done and I might sit on my phone for another hour and not go to bed till midnight.
I kind of have to do the same thing though, even though it's past my bedtime and I'm fatigued and stuff. I can't, if I like slid into the bed the second we shut this down, I'm not ready to fall asleep, because might not look like I'm doing cartwheels over here and stuff, but
and plus you have these incredibly bright lights just blaring in your face for 2.5 hours now.
It is this lighting that we use, which is very nice lighting. It is relieving when you shut it off after recording this. You're like, I didn't realize the stress that was
finally. Another good one. Another good one in the commercial gym. There is a guy in there that he's something else, and he's probably in his late 50s, early 60s, if I had to guess. He screams out, "Yeah, buddy," a lot while he's lifting.
Really?
And
nice.
He was on his phone talking very loudly lifting the other day. And he's like, a lot of people just don't get it, man. The only way you can, I couldn't even tell if it was a real conversation. It's like, the only way you can get stronger is you have to train to absolute failure. People don't get that. And I'm like, okay.
This was a phone conversation.
I'm like, okay. Like, hold up right there. Like, that's pretty well documented. Like, not the best way to train is to absolute failure. Like, you do not get stronger. If you actually genuinely train to absolute failure, you're not recovering from it in time for the next workout. Like, I don't care how tough you think you are. If you really, really do train to absolute failure, you're not ready in time for the next workout. So already you can't work out strong enough. Like that's not how you get stronger. And also, if you want to know more about that, look up the scientific principles of strength training, and it explains it very, very clearly on how you actually do get stronger.
Yes. We're hitting a lot of book stuff to this episode too.
Yeah. But he's just like,
that's a good book.
It is. Great book. And I actually still haven't finished it. God, I got to finish that thing. I'm almost done. And I just, you get almost to the end of a book and you're like, I've gotten everything out of this.
Right.
But I have not gotten everything out of it. There's more in it. I just need to finish the damn thing. But that is a very, very, very good book. Probably, actually, I shouldn't say probably. It is the best book I've ever read on strength training. And that whole thing.
I agree. I've read quite a few too, and I do really like that one. So that's not okay to be having loud phone conversations like that.
Yeah, so I'm not like in the gym. Like that is the last place I would ever think of having. Well, one, wanting to have a conversation, and then to have a loud Bluetooth headset conversation in the middle of the gym.
Headset.
Yeah,
I was going to ask that.
Yeah.
I feel like I already knew that it was a Bluetooth headset conversation, but it was worth pointing out.
Yeah.
That's not okay. I'm so self-conscious about talking on my phone in public that I would
it's
do whatever
the thing
I
now.
can
Like your phone's just everyone's phone is permanently on vibrate. Like you don't even want the damn thing to ring, and then it's like ringing. You're like, okay, I'll hit ignore unless it's an absolute emergency, and then you like go in the corner. You're like, yeah, what's up? Yep, I'm at the gym. I gotta go.
Well, that's the polite thing to, that's the appropriate to me. Like,
I think that's the thing more younger people are conscious of than.
Yeah. Some people make a scene on purpose too.
Oh God,
like,
yeah.
Okay. Any other good commercial gym stories, or I guess we got to leave some cliffhangers for next episode.
That would probably be the big one. Is that the outdoor area is open at nighttime? Seems to be popping. That's when people are going.
That's surprising to me that people are that there's that many people there.
That is. That's probably about it. That's about all I've seen good lately.
Did you do it to them with
Nope. I got it right here. I got it queued up and ready to go.
Right.
In 1995, Maurice Big Mo Huffman founded SwissLink with the mission to bring authentic Swiss Army goods to the United States and into the hands of those yearning for quality gear at uncompromised prices. Now, for nearly 3 decades, Big Mo has been traveling far and wide in search of the best items from military forces around the world. Big Mo doesn't only find authentic military clothing for SwissLink, he brings in everything you can imagine, from Swiss military rangefinders to Italian police tracksuits. SwissLink.com is also home to the SwissLink Classic Wool Blankets. They're an ideal mix of 80% wool and 20% recycled fibers. It's that special blend that provides a soft, luxurious feel while maintaining all the benefits of wool. The designs are reminiscent of brands that rhyme with Schwendelton and Schwudson Bay, but are available for only a fraction of the cost. SwissLink's exceptional collection and dedication to quality customer service distinguishes them from the competition. Enjoy a 15% discount on your next purchase at swisslink.com by entering the code MASS at checkout. That's MASS to save 15% at swisslink.com. Thank you, SwissLink.
Thanks, SwissLink. Ooh, what an episode, Tommy.
Yeah.
We really did it to him.
Covered a lot of ground there.
Oops, we did it again.
Yes, we did.
All right. Let's save something for next week.
Okay.
Make sure to buy all our stuff. We got the leather patch hat. I've got one of them right here. One of my favorite hats, and the Richardson 112. We've got some of the Working Hard pocket tees available still in black and denim blue. And we've got our camo windbreaker. It's great for breaking wind. Right?
It is. And the cutting edge technological device, the Drink Spotter Lite, is also available.
Yes. Those are still going like hotcakes. I mean, at some point in time, we could run out of those. So don't sleep on the Drink Spotter Lite. Who knows what supply chain issues might bring us next.
There's also been a fair number of people that just they've bought into what we're selling, and they just buy the original and the light at the same time. I would highly encourage you to do that.
Quite a few of those this week, actually. That was fun to see.
Yeah, that's someone that's taking drink safety seriously. So if you've been on the fence, time to make a decision. Just buy both. That's the best way to do it.
Can't go wrong with both, can you?
Nope.
We did do a Massenomics versus of the Drink Spotter versus the Drink Spotter Lite. And I put a comment on there. If this comment gets 69 likes, we'll bring back Massenomics versus the next morning, I'll be damned if there wasn't 69 likes exactly on that
It
comment.
actually
when I
was
looked at it.
69 exactly.
Yes, and like people apparently got in on it, and I don't know if it ever increased above that. Like, so many people like saw that and like, yes, I will not like this because we'll keep it at
People
69.
just held strong. They're like, don't give in.
Like a solidarity of like keeping it at 69. So I guess maybe we'll bring back a few Massenomics verses, which I thought that was mostly a joke, but then I thought about it like, oh, maybe it'd be fun to do a few since we haven't in so long.
The community has spoken. Who are we to deny the people what they want?
That's I was always personally a fan of Massenomics verses.
Oh, they were great.
Like is one of my.
That was maybe the original recurring bit.
I think it was.
As far as Instagram goes,
right? The three
maybe
the
Tanner
three,
Sack was original to that,
right? Right. As far as Instagram goes, Versus was the original and the longest running. We have well over 100 of those. But then the rookie card got in there, and then in its heyday, we had 3 every week. There'd be one of each of these: Massenomics Versus, a rated rookie card, and the Lifting Legend.
Yep.
Lifting Legend, actually the most work of putting together of any of those.
Yeah,
and
those also
maybe
those had
underrated.
a cult following for sure.
Those had like. Those 3 things almost had like 3 separate.
Yeah, the Lifting Legends would really pull some characters out of the woodwork. Some guys that I think got Instagram accounts just to make a comment on some of those, you know?
That is true. I'd like to bring that back someday too. It's just that the only problem is Instagram doesn't reward that stuff like it used to.
Not one bit. Like, oh, you took the time to find this photo and put some facts down? Yeah, let's just show you some boobs instead.
Yeah. Like, where's the boobs?
Yeah. It's just, you just get a warning. Instagram's like, your account has not hit its boobs quota for the week.
Is there any way you could make text or make quotations, subtitles fly over the over the top of this quickly in a visually appealing manner?
That's Instagram for you. All right, you can find me.
Sometimes it's not what you know; it's who you know.
Ain't that
where
the
do
truth?
they find you at?
They can find me at Tomahawk_D.
You can follow me at Tanner_Bear. Just make sure to follow Massenomics at Massenomics.
See ya.